Hi guys, welcome back. We're here today to talk about the Warriors of Chaos. Not Almanac.
Arcane Journal.
Arcane Journal. That's it. It's me, Roman, and Dan again. And yeah, we're just going to go through sort of the same as we did with the dwarves. Have a discussion about the content. Look through each new unit, new army, composition, new characters. See how we feel. We've both already had a read of the book. This is predominantly Dan's army, and I'm already getting the feeling that as a preemptive, we've already read it, that he's pretty happy with it. Most Chaos players are pretty happy with it, so hopefully it should be pretty good. I do think it's pretty nasty, but we'll go through the units and we'll give you our opinions and what we think's good, what we think's super dumb, which we'll get onto later on in the book.
There's nothing in there that's super dumb. It's all perfectly balanced, and if anything, I don't think it's powerful enough.
Well,
but we'll get to that as we go on. But yeah, like you said, so release day was today. We'll upload our verdict on it. There's been a lot of the early review copies out there, videos on it, so the rules are pretty much already out there to be seen by the world. So everybody knows sort of what's strong, what's not. There's not a lot that isn't strong, but we'll take it page by page. So if we start off with the Armies Infamy, the first one is the Warriors of Chaos, Wolves of the Sea. So this is the heavily Marauder-focused faction. So usual compositions, so 50% of your army's value on characters can be spent on 0 to 1 Lord, Demon Prince, or Sorcerer. So that's not per 1,000. So you can't have your level 4 Dragon Lord and level 4 Sorcerer Lord in the same list in this one, because it's just one of either or. 0 to 1 Exalted Champion, Exalted Sorcerer per 1,000 points. And then obviously you can take as many Aspiring Champions or Marauder Tribe Chieftains, which is one of the new units we'll get to on the data slate later on. Core, still 25%. And you can fill these with Chaos Marauders, Marauder Horsemen, Marauder Tribe Berserkers, which again are a new unit we'll get to, and Chaos Warhounds. So you'll notice no Chaos Knights and no Chaos Warriors, and I believe that's it from the regular core Grand Army. Obviously you've got Berserkers splashed in. 50% special, so Chaos Warriors can be taken this, but obviously just move to the special. Chaos Chariots, Skin Wolves, new unit which we'll get to. Marauder Tribe Huskars, which are a new... I will say heavy cav for now. They're heavier than Marauders, but I don't think they're quite...
They're technically heavy cav, but they're not.
Yeah, we'll have to get to their slate. I can't remember if they're classed as heavy cav or not. And obviously Chaos Spawns. And then in your rare, you've got 33% maybe spent on Chaos Ogres, Chaos Trolls, Dragon Ogres. Gigantic Spawn of Chaos, which again, new unit. Dragon Ogre Shaggoths, 1 per 1,000. Oh, sorry, no. The Giant Spawns of Chaos are 1 per 1,000. 0 to 1 Dragon Ogre Shaggoths per unit of Dragon Ogres. Chaos Giant per 1,000 points, 0 to 1. And then obviously the Mercenaries, you can take Gore Herds or Ungore Herds from the Beastman range. The BSB in this can either be an Aspiring Champion or a Marauder Tribe Chieftain. Still have to pay the 25 points, and then obviously so on from there. And obviously as magic items you can take from the other common or Warriors of Chaos magic items, just as a disclaimer. So, in terms of the allotments, there's not a lot changed in this to the Grand Army. The biggest changes are obviously Warriors moving to Special, the Lord or Sorcerer, Chaos Lord or Sorcerer Lord, not both, and then obviously the new unit splashed in. No Chaos Knights, Chosen Knights, or... Is there one more unit missing?
Can't have regular Chosen.
Or regular Chosen, that's the one, yeah. So no Chosen Knights, no Chosen on foot, and no Chaos Knights.
I just noticed something, that it's 33% rare. Normally 25.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, I didn't spot that before, actually.
Yeah. I didn't notice that. So that's quite interesting. So it does mean you can go for quite a heavy rare slots, which I think you would. It does realistically mean you could theoretically take 3 decent sized monsters. You could get a lot of Dragoness. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, because are Dragon Ogres usually rare or are they special?
I think they're normally special, so they would put them in.
That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't spot that before. Yeah, we'll have a... Yeah, that makes a difference, actually, especially with that giant spawn of Chaos being in there. It means you could squeeze maybe a few more of them into your regular TK game. Yeah. Oh, because 0 to 1 per
limited,
1,000. Sorry, yeah.
It means you could get 2 of them and a giant.
Yeah. That's definitely what you want to see on the opposite side of the board.
The one sort of the rest it seems pretty normal. As say, like doesn't seem anything out of the super extraordinary. Or I know we got the new units as you already said. The magic items is very specific. I don't know whether it's because I've just read the dwarf one. I don't know if the other books sort of state that as well.
It's usually in there just to clarify that because this data slate detachment isn't technically within the Warriors of Chaos. I think if you read Warriors of Chaos, it says you can use. Yeah, it's just a caveat. I think to make sure you don't have to take just the magic items in this book. You can add them to the range.
Got you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Special rules that come with this are so you get 3 special rules if you take this particular detachment. You get Favour of the Gods, which is almost like the old school Eye of the Gods, if you remember that from 8th edition. So, if a character within the Wolves of the Sea army kills their opponent in a challenge, they must immediately roll on the Gaze of the Gods table. And in addition, should a unit within the Wolves of the Sea army claim a standard of the enemy as a trophy of war, they may roll on the Gaze of the Gods table, changing references from this model to this unit. So this is a massive change. It's brought back the old Eye of the Gods from the old editions to sort of incentivize butchering them in challenges. And not only that, obviously, if you do run down and claim the enemy standard, the unit could potentially benefit from the Gaze of the Gods, which obviously we know how powerful it is, with the potentially giving the whole unit +1 strength and leadership, +1 attack, +1 weapon skill, or just temporary toughness and initiative boost, or stupidity, but we won't talk about that one.
Yeah, well, I mean, because with that, I was thinking, so it doesn't apply to champions.
No, it's just characters for the top bit.
It's just characters, just notes, but it's real scary because if you have a dragon, let's say, I mean, they're quite common within the chaos situation. If a dragon charges, a common way to deal with it at the moment is I'll challenge to try and nullify as much damage. But you go, all right, I'll accept challenge, murder whoever poor soul is caught in the challenge, get to roll on either gods. If you then win that combat and then run that unit down, you catch the banner, so then you get a roll again. And you rolled at the start of the turn anyway. So now you get 3 rolls of the god, and it could just be, I rolled 3 5s, and I got 3 extra attacks, or I've got a 6, a 5, and a 4, so I've got +1 weapon skill, +1 attack, +1 strength, and +1 leadership.
Or 3 4s, and I'm weapon skill 10 now for the rest of the game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's pretty bonkers. I mean, the units is like ignoring the big single character game, which is pretty scary. The units is terrifying as well because you've got, I mean, even just like a unit of Chaos Marauders, you charge in, and then you go, I rolled a 5. Now that whole unit has got Frenzy with flails and +1 attack. They're like 3 attacks a model now.
Well,
that's a lot.
Even going back to the dragon argument, so if you cut down a unit with a Dragon Lord and you roll the 5 for the extra attack, I presume the Lord on top and the dragon get an extra attack on their profile.
I don't know how that would work. I think that would come down to, because, for example, if you cast a spell on something that gives the unit +1 attack, so if you cast that on the Dragon Lord, like a demonology,
high magic, things like that, yeah.
If you cast that, I don't believe it applies to the dragon.
Because usually the Gaze of the Gods only applies to the rider because he has it and he's rolling. And obviously they've made that abundantly clear. But then for the bottom caveat, because it's the unit as a whole,
I'd say no.
Yeah.
Because the only reason is because I'm looking at other situations where you can increase its attacks. I don't believe it increases the dragon's attacks. I mean, maybe it does, but unless it specifies, because you have the Lady's Wrath, which is very specific in that it affects the mounts, whereas everything else doesn't. So by that sort of common denomination, because it doesn't specify, unless this
maybe
actively specified. Because otherwise, if you took a unit of Marauders, or just regular cavalry, or no, you can't say knights. So
you take Marauder Horsemen.
Yeah.
All Huskarls.
It means that if you roll a pick, they all get +1 strength on their horses. If you roll a 4, the horses can weapon skill 4. I don't think it applies to mounts. I don't think.
Yeah, I have to wait on that one.
Yeah, I'll say, because otherwise that'd be silly.
And then Sea-born Raiders. So units of Chaos Marauders, Marauder Horsemen within the Army of the Sea may have the Ambusher special rule upgraded to them for 1 point per model. And then Aspiring Champions, whose troop type is Infantry or Cavalry, within the Wolves of the Sea may have ambushes for 10 points a model. So this obviously cuts into basically giving you a bit more flexibility on the Marauders, having them all ambush in. I believe, we'll get to them, but I believe obviously the Marauder Tribe Chieftain comes with ambushes anyway. And some of the newer units have their built-in upgrade on there anyway.
Berserkers do. The one I think, unless we found it now, the one we're slightly confused on is the Huskarls, but we'll talk about that when we get to them.
So, yeah, ambush and marauders is always a good thing. Potentially stops them getting shot off the board on the way up, because I never pay for armor of mine. I just go flails, mark of core, and run them at your enemy. So if you have them coming in from the sides or even behind, it gives them a bit more protection. And Warriors Duel. So I know this one caused a lot of controversy when it first got shown out, but I think it's settled now with this little caveat at the bottom. So instead of rolling off to determine which player takes the first turn, you may challenge your opponent to a Warriors Duel. If your opponent accepts, both players choose a single unit champion of a wounds characteristic of 1 whose troop type is infantry or cavalry from within their army to fight in a Warriors Duel. The chosen combatants then fight as if engaged in a challenge, fighting as many rounds of combat as necessary to determine a victor. Once a victor has been determined, that model's controlling player takes the first turn. If both unit champions are slain, the players roll off as normal. If the challenge is declined, the Wolves of the Sea count as having won the roll-off to determine which player goes first. So this I like. It's really cool. It just gives you that. I don't think it will, but I don't know if it depends, because we know Chaos are quite popular within the meta. I don't know if Wolves of the Sea are going to tip the iceberg of that. I think the biggest deciding factor for me at the minute is the lack of no level 4 and a dragon. It's one or the other, which I like. If you could take both, everyone would take this all the time, because nobody takes Chaos Warriors anyway. Knights you'd have to sacrifice, but I'm sure people would be willing for that. But I don't know if some people are going to sort of make a little bit of a souped up champion just in case this comes up.
It depends, because it's one of those where it depends how much you want to invest, because you can spend a lot of points. Like, most champions you could get up to being like nearly like 30-40 points if you really wanted to. They could win the challenge for you to go first, cool.
But then they've got to justify that point cost for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and if they die, I don't know. I mean, I'm not opposed to the idea of it. I think, honestly, keeping it simple is better, where you just, like a Marauder with a frenzy Marauder champion with a flail. It's pretty cheap. It's like 15 points with the cost of the champion, if that. And you just fight that. You could heavily invest and make some mega champions, but it depends what you come up against. The thing I'm a bit interested to see how it works is, because they technically fight as if in a challenge, do they get unit buffs? Obviously, if they're part of the unit, they would. But I mean, if you have a banner in there that gives them, the only real banner I can think of is the Razor standard, or if you've got a special banner that gives you real ones or whatever. Like, do you count as being within any banner for rage, or even like characters within the unit that gives a unit a buff? Does that count? I don't know.
I'd probably say no, because I think you meant to single them out. It's cloudy though,
because it just says they fight as if they were in a challenge. It doesn't specify that.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know. But
we'll see what comes up with that one. I know obviously the big issue a lot of people were talking about was how it interacts with the Bretonnian Prone and the Lady, which underneath they have added that caveat. So they've said note that should a Bretonnian army accept the challenge, it counts as having prayed for the blessing of the Lady. But if they decline the challenge, it cannot pray for the blessing of the Lady. And it goes one step further than that on if you decline the challenge, not only do you not count as receiving the blessings of the Lady, units that would normally begin the game with it, like the Grail Vow for example, automatically lose it. So they've sort of forced the hand here that there's no point ever not accepting this challenge with Bretonnia, because it's a win-win. You get to count as praying, and you might also get the first turn if the challenge goes well. But if you decline it, you lose your blessing, you're going second, which you normally used to go in anyway, and your Grail Vow models lose it, which in the mirror match you at least normally keep the Grail Vow blessings. But so that's
only slight thing I have is I don't know what kind of good challengers the Bretonnians have, because
Grail Knight champion.
You do have Grail Knight champions, but
I mean, a Grail Knight champion is they're not, which I don't know then if that changes it slightly. So Bretonnians now, do you just chuck that little Sword of Might on your champion, or even a Morning Star?
You could. I just don't know if it's like, because when you're charging, you want to use your lands, right? You do. But I don't know whether it's worth like chucking a Sword of Might on a, because a Sword of Might Grail Knight, okay, now he's strength 5 and he's -1, and he's got 3 attacks and he's like initiative 5 and weapon skill 6. Like, he's pretty much just a character at that point.
Yeah.
So that could be quite good,
But then
but
if you
again,
lose it,
it's a heavy investment. You know, I mean, Grail Knight Champion's what, 45 points?
yeah,
'Cause he's what,
38,
38?
7 for the upgrade.
Yeah, and then you give him a Sword of Might, which is 20 points, so now he's a 65-point model. Like, he is a character cost. If he, you could run into I mean, okay, if it's a Marauder champion, yeah, you're probably murdering, but you could run into that Huskal or whatever, and he looks out, doesn't die, and then you get murdered by a 20-point model. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think with Bretonnians, it does emphasize that, like, just take a cheap as hell unit of like 10 archers, stick a champion in there, and then if you run into this and you go, I don't want to risk anyone one, yeah, I'll accept with the archer.
Or go.
And then if he wins, it's hilarious,
Yeah.
but he never will. But if you go right, or you go, actually, I kind of want to buy for the first turn. You look at because I believe, as well, when you issue the challenge, I don't believe you have to dictate. Yeah, so you challenge, then you pick who you're fighting with.
Yeah, so they
there's
don't
no,
go, my Marauder's issuing a challenge. You
Yeah.
both go, I challenge, do you accept? Yes, then you both pick your models. I suppose you could, if you wanted to take the safe option, you just, providing you're running some men at arms, you already got your second unit champion in there, you just sort of throw one into the gutter.
You could do that. I mean, it's not a massive. Like some people have reacted a little bit, like, "Oh, this is too powerful against Bretonnians." It's not. You just have to accept the challenge. That's it. You accept the challenge. Again, like, if you have a cheap archer champion, like, you lose a model, it's an archer, whatever. It's an extra 6 points you have to invest. I don't know. I'm assuming it's a case of if you don't buy any champions, you just can't accept the challenge. I'm guessing. Because some people don't have champions in their army. So.
I would imagine you'd need a legible character. So I presume it's the same as if you come up against the troll horde, they might physically not have any.
That's quite powerful.
Because obviously they've got infantry champions, but they've not got a 1 wound.
No.
So you might physically not be able to accept in that one. So they might just automatically go second.
I guess that's the only the only thing that might. It's not going to shift the meta. I mean, it's good. But I think the only thing it might make people consider is like, okay, I'm going to run one champion, and like in that army, you can run Spider Riders, so they might be like, oh, I'm going to run just a Spider Rider champion, like 5 Spider Riders with a champion in there, just so that I can accept the challenge. Because like losing first turn, I don't know. I mean, some people find it really detrimental. It depends how you play. If you're against, I mean, don't get me wrong, if you're against a huge amount of cavalry and they've all got ambushes and all this, and that could be pretty bad, but.
Or like an Empire gun line, that giving them that extra turn of shooting can sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. So, my plan for this, because obviously I play dwarves, is I want to try running a Longbeard, and I want to give him the talismanic rune that gives him a 2 at ward save.
Just so we can sort of guarantee not to die in the challenge.
And then weapon skill, like he's weapon skill 5. I probably would just leave him with his hand weapon, because he's got a Gromwell weapon. The other option is I think a hammer can take it as well. So I'm half tempted to just take a hammer champion, give him a 20 point once per game. I just ignore a wound on a 2+, and then just be like, cool. Yeah. Let's have this scrap.
I think I've made some more so I'm obviously playing Ollie tomorrow, testing out this, and I've specifically ran, because you don't see them enough, a unit of Chaos Warriors in special with halberds. Yep. So one of those can go into the challenge. But then in some of the more janky lists, I have made like one of the Huskals. I think I've given their champion the Helm of Strikes First and Stupidity. Because it's funny, because then he's got Frenzy anyway, because he gave Mark a Corn. So it's 3 attacks at Weapon Skill 4, Strength 5, -2 at Initiative 10. It's like, you should be winning. As long as you get a couple of 4s to hit, a couple of 2s or 3s to wound, their champion's only got 1 wound. Fail that. It's like, I'm going first. But it's just a silly caveat. But it's interesting to see what people are going to make of it.
It's really fun. I think it's really fun. I think it's really cool.
So
I think all in all, really good in general. The Seaborn Raid is real nice. You can just like have loads of ambush going on, turning your army into beastmen effectively. Favor of God's amazing because units can just skyrocket and become powerful. Warriors, you're hilarious and can be quite powerful to go first and stuff. You can, and like, even if it's a case of you both kill each other. If they go, actually, I am going to accept my Grail champion, and you just happen to kill that Grail champion with your guy, you're like, cool, I don't go first. We still roll off. I might lose that. But against Bretonnians, it's actually like a double win. Because you go, right, here's your challenge. If you go... See, also... Yeah, no, ignore me. I was going to say, do they count as praying? But they do, because they as soon as they accept it, they count as praying, so they get the benefit of the lady.
So I'd say it's good for Bretonians because they could pray and go first, which is not possible for them before.
It's also just really good against them because you go, right, I should challenge, and they go, well, I kind of have to accept. And if they don't have that cheap, I mean, it also mean, not that you're going to have a whole army of like multiple wound things in a Bretonnian army. You know, you will have cavalry most likely, or you will have some footmen.
Yeah, you could always chuck a errant champion or Knights of the Realm champion into it or something like that if you wanted to level it out. But like you said, when you get to that back end of creating your army list now and you've suddenly got 5 or 6 points spare, you could just go, okay, well, I'll just chuck Peasant Bowman champion in there just in case Wolves of the Sea, rather than like a random potion of foolhardiness or whatever you can get for normally 5 points. I quite like it. It gives you that edge to go first, especially in an army that can have a lot of potential ambushes, because it's one less turn for your opponent to prepare for their ambushes as well.
Yep.
I think tomorrow I'm running a Demon Prince. I'm trying to run some more obscure stuff that I don't normally see as well. So I'm thinking I'm running a Demon Prince in the character slot, plenty of Marauders, some Warriors, Skin Wolves, Giant Spawn, all that jazz, see what they do. So we'll see how that goes. All in all,
the fun units.
Yeah, I think this is a solid one. We'll go into the second one now, which I am more sceptical about, which I'll get to, which is the... So this is the second Warriors of Chaos Army of Infamy. This is the Heralds of Darkness. So there seems to be a theme going with all the Arcane Journals, that most of them have a mounted option. So this is the Warriors of Chaos's mounted Army of Infamy. So, very similar values. So 50% on characters, and that's Lord or Demon Prince, 0 to 1 per army. 0 to 1 Exalted Champion or Sorcerer Lord. So in this one you can run your Lord and level 4. And then obviously you can take Aspiring Champions and Sorcerers. The core does shift in this one. So you have to take 33% of the core. And that has to be spent on minimum 1 unit of Chaos Knights, Marauder Horsemen or Chaos Warhounds, and 0 to 1 Chaos Chariots can be taken as core. So you can put a little chariot in there. Special is 50%. So 0 to 1 Chosen Knights per army. 0 to 1 Chosen Chaos Chariots per 1,000 points, which is a new thing we'll get to. Chaos Spawns, Chaos Chariots, Chimeras, Dragon Ogres back in special. 25% points on rare, and they can be spent on Gorby's Chariots. 0 to 1 Dragon Ogre Shaggoth per unit of Dragon Ogres. 0 to 1 Giant Spawn of Chaos per 1,000 points. 0 to 1 Chaos Giant per 1,000 points. And 0 to 1 Warp Fire Dragon, which is, again, a new unit we'll get to. And then more Beastmen Mercenaries, this time in the shape of Centaur Chieftains and Centaur Herds. This one retains the usual Battle Standard Bearer allotment, so Exalted Champion or Aspiring Champion, 25 points, all that jazz, and then obviously it clarifies about the magic items. So, yeah, main thing on here is you'll notice everything either can have fly or is mounted, which we'll get to another caveat on the second page. And the biggest change is you have to spend at least 33% of your army on core. So it's heavily going to be a mounted theme. And
oh no, I have to take my really good Chaos Knights.
Yeah, I have to take my heavy elite cav as core, if I must.
But most people were like, I'm taking them anyway, and now the Chariots in there, which people were running Chariots anyway. Again, I'm
happy that's 0 to 1 though. If that was just Chariots as core,
oh no,
Jesus Christ,
that would be awful. I think they've done it. It's one of those where they've kind of just gone, oh, this is what people are running in like tournament scenes. Cool, yeah, we'll just make that an army of infamy. So I think you'll see a lot. I think you'll just see, because what everyone's running, I think you'll just see them.
I'm on the opposite foot because of something I realised on this page. So these are the 3 special rules you get for the army. So it's the mounted host. This wasn't really a special rule, it's just a limitation. So any characters in the army must be mounted or have fly, so you can't run anything on foot. Mm-hmm. So again, that Chaos Lord you were going to put on a dragon, probably still going to stay on a dragon. That Chaos Sorcerer Lord you were probably going to put on a chariot, can still stay on a chariot. Steeds of Darkness, this is a good rule. It basically gives them finest war horses from Bretonnia. So if their troop type is cavalry or chariot, and it makes a charge, flee, or pursuit roll, it can re-roll any natural ones before discarding the dice that require to be discarded. However, so there's this special rule. You've got the Shadow Grows. So for each character your army includes that has the Mark of Chaos other than the Mark of Chaos Undivided, it must also include a non-character unit with the same Mark of Chaos, and vice versa. So for example, if your army includes 2 characters with the Mark of Khorne, it must also include 2 non-characters with the Mark of Khorne. So I didn't notice this at first, but you'll find like quite commonly most lists will have, say, like Lord or Dragon, Sorcerer level 4 on a Chariot, 2 to 3 units of like Khorne Knights, and then maybe some Dragon Ogres, things like that. But then I didn't realise as well, because obviously, so if you want to take those 3 units of Chaos Knights with Mark of Khorne, you also need 3 characters with Mark of Khorne.
Okay, no, fair enough then.
You can still take a lot of the meta lists, but I don't think you'd be able to spam as many marks as people normally do. Because I know a lot of people normally do like a Nurgle Dragon, a Tzeentch Sorcerer, 2 or 3 units of Chaos Knights with Khorne. But obviously that's not legal in this detachment. You'd need your Sorcerer to have Khorne, your Dragon to have Khorne, and maybe chuck an Aspiring Champion on a mountain there to have Khorne to take 3 Knights. Or just go undivided everywhere. Which I think is... that limitation alone, I think, is going to turn a lot of people away, and they'll just continue doing the Grand Army detachment.
Like standard. Yeah. No, that's true. I mean, I'm hoping that it makes people more... Because my only sort of disappointment with this book, now we're on the Army of Enemy, is I would have personally loved to have seen... I don't play Chaos, but I could have been, like... I don't know, I mean, like... All of us in the group have all agreed, like, we kind of... There's not really an old Wood Army we wouldn't play. Like, there's all those, like, well, they're quite cool, this got, like... I do like Warriors Chaos, they're cool, you know, who doesn't like the big armored... The main evil guys, basically. But I was really hoping for, like, army-specific... God-specific... Sort of, like... the way I thought they might do it is that you have, like... I don't know what they call it, you know... Literally, like, pure God, whatever. And it would just be that your general dictates what your army has to include in terms of, like, everything has to have the same mark, and then you like those marks get special rules. So there'd be a lot more special rules for the army with me, but it only applied to the marks.
Yeah, so no mixing and matching, but super versions of the God rules. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be like, you know, against if you're Mark of Khorne, you get fucking Furious Charge and shit like that. Like that could have been really good. But I mean, this isn't bad. I mean, the only thing I think about this is that I found it's a little bit. It's not uncreative, but it's kind of just like, you know, it's okay. It's cool.
Yeah, I think unfortunately the only benefit you get is reroll ones, which I don't think is as needed for cavalry. It could come in handy, but I think the limitations with the 33% on core and the mark thing is enough to deter you to the Grand Army if you were just going to run cav.
The reason I think that you still will see this is the Warpfire Dragon thing.
It is, but you can run that in the Grand Army anyway.
I didn't think you could. I thought it was only in this.
We'll get to it, but it's same with the Spawn. I think they've got a little caveat on the bottom saying you can. I think you can run 0 to 1 as a rare in a Grand Army, which it's rare in this anyway. Okay. But yeah, if it was just if you could only take the Warpfire Dragon on this, I think it's enough to maybe sacrifice some limitations. But we'll get to that when we get to it. I might be proven wrong on that, but yeah, I think Marauders of the Sea is definitely my favourite out of the two. This one's cool. Could have been better. I think maybe instead of the Steeds of Darkness, maybe because obviously it's got the limitations on the marks at the bottom anyway. It'd be cooler if you had a separate rule on there where it's like almost another little table. So if you did take markers each, you could only take markers each. However, you get this on top of the mark rules. I think that'd have been the cooler shout. Yeah. But it's still not bad. It's
No, yeah. I mean, I think it also maybe incites people to actually build like a mounted, you know, not Dragon Lord, like running characters on loads of horses and chariots, and then just giving them running a Mark of Khorne, you know, Lord on horse or Nurgle, and then running him with Nurgle Knights, and then just mixing it up a bit more might be hopefully like you can build some really cool armies. I guess we're looking at this more of a competitive standpoint. I think you could build some really cool like armies aesthetically from this. Build like loads of chariots, the Chosen chariots, all this sort of stuff. But yeah. I think overall it's still good there.
So that's both armies of Infamy covered. We'll move on to the new characters, starting with the brand new character. So this is, I think I've pronounced this correctly, Fredal the Chainmaker. So
sounds about right.
She counts as an Exalted Champion. She's basically an Exalted Champion for stat purposes. She's movement 4, web skill 6, blitz skill 3, strength 5, toughness 4, 3 wounds piece. A piece is just one model, 3 wounds. Initiative 5, 4 attacks, leadership 9, and she comes in at 235 points. She's heavy infantry. She comes with hand weapon, Storm's Wrath, which is her special flail we'll get to, full plate armor, which is nice because Exalted Champions can't let me take that, and a shield. So she comes with a threat save innately. Ambushes, Chainmaker, which is again one of her rules. Chaos armor 5+, so comes up 5 up war built in. Commander and Captain are again one of her own special rules. And Sorcered Weapons, just in case you can't or don't want to use that flail, I guess. Gaze of the Gods, impact hits 1, interesting, but we'll take it. Mark of Chaos Undivided, Peerless Raider, and Rallying Cry. So she's pretty good. Like I say, full plate, which I'm pretty sure you can't be taken as Ultra Champion. That's nice enough already there. So she has Chainmaker, which is any enemy standard captured by Fradal or any unit she has joined is worth 100 victory points of Trophy War instead of obviously the usual 50. And then obviously, if you take her in the Marauding Wards of the Sea, that standard you've just claimed, not only has it netted you an extra 50 points, it lets her and her whole unit roll on that Gaze of the Gods. Commander and Captain. So unless she is fleeing, friendly units of Chaos Marauders, Marauder Horsemen, Marauder Tribe Huskars, and Marauder Tribe Berserkers gain a +1 modifier to their leadership characteristic whilst within her command range to a maximum of 10. And obviously command range is 9, if she's your general, obviously be 12. So that's not bad. So she's very Marauder themed, as you can tell. And then she has Peerless Raider. So 0 to 1 units of Chaos Marauders, Marauder Horsemen, in the same army list as Fradal, may have the Ambusher special rule for free. In addition, if Fradal is your general, you may apply a +1 or -1 modifier to the result when rolling to determine if she or any unit of Chaos Marauders, Marauder Horsemen, Marauder Tribe Huskars, or Marauder Tribe Berserkers with the Ambush special currently held in reserve arrive this turn. So you can basically incentivize if you want them to come in yet or you want to delay them, or try to anyway. And she can make one unit of Marauders or Horsemen and get it for free. She has Storm's Wrath, which is a modified flail. So it's +2 strength, -1, extra attacks D3, magical require 2 hands, and then obviously you can only use the strength modifier on the turn she charges. So, pretty good.
Which is first round of combat.
Yeah, so she's basically +2, -2 extra D3 attacks, but then after that she's just -1 extra D3 attacks. So it's 5 to 7 attacks for the strength 5 -1 weapon. It's not too bad. And then her having full plate, at least she's still got that 4-up save, sacrificing the shield.
And a 5 ward.
And a 5-up ward. She's pretty good. The thing that obviously we mentioned earlier is, I don't know if we're missing something, but with Peerless Raider, it says you can add a +1 or -1 modifier to result to see if any of Marauders, Marauder Horsemen, Huskars, or Berserkers with the Ambusher rule currently in reserve right turn.
Yeah.
But as far as we've found, you can't actually give the Huskars Ambushers.
No, unless we're missing something. I don't know whether we'll have to see once we get to the page, is whether it has the same caveat, but I think we checked. So a lot of the newer units now have like, they count towards this for when you're building army lists. But we'll see when we get to it, and we can double check that. I think she's brilliant.
I do, yeah.
I don't. I know you shouldn't compare across books, but I'm just going to compare her to Thorgrim.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to be like, yeah, she's worth every penny, and he's overcosted. But she's great. I mean, she's got a great stat line. She hits pretty hard. She's tanky. She gets you like net points for your for getting banners in your army. She increases leadership. She's got good attacks. I mean, you see, the first round of combat, she gets, on average, you're looking like 6 attacks, strength 7, -1, and that's not even including Gaze of the Gods. And she has impact hits, but that's not even including Gaze of the Gods, because the Gaze of the Gods, she might get extra attacks, she might roll +1 strength, she might roll any of these buffs.
Banner of Rage as well, give the unit Frenzy, even though it's not Mark of Corn.
Yeah.
Another attack, instantly.
So you can get a lot of attacks, and then again, if you, I mean, these are any combos, but if you combo her with giving the demonology spell, which gives you, I think it's +1 strength. I want to say +1 strength attack and AP.
+1 strength attacks and armor piercing on your weapons.
Yeah. That she's then getting strength 8 minus with -2 with about, again, like maximum like 8 attacks, could be more with frenzy and all this other stuff. So she can go really off the chain. Obviously, this is any combination, but she's just a very good character. For 235 points, I think she's very good. She fits the theme really well, and there's a really good model for it that we were talking about using, which is I think it was, I can't remember if it was a Games Day or an Underworlds model, but it's like a female Chaos warrior or Chaos Lord or whatever, with a giant like mace, which you could easily turn into a flail. You just need to give her some horns, and then it's perfect.
Yeah.
So
I've got nothing bad to say about her. Like I say, she's on the pricier side for an Exalted Champion, but the stuff she comes with definitely makes up for that gap. So yeah. It's nothing against her, but one thing I've just noticed, which I do sort of miss from 8th edition, is the option to buy mounts for named characters.
Yeah.
So if you remember, obviously Archeon could buy Dolgor, Tyrion could buy his horse. I think there might have been a couple of others. But I sort of wish sometimes you could add a mount option to give more flexibility. And then Thorgrim as well. Give him the option to like upgrade on shield bearers, things like that. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Just-
No. Oh, now I could put Ungram on shield bearers.
Oh god, could you imagine him with 3 extra
That'd be
wounds and
great.
an extra? It'd be toughness 7, wouldn't he? Do you get an extra toughness
No,
on shield
just-
bearers? Oh, it's just
no,
wounds,
just-
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, just wounds and attacks. So.
But yeah, like I say, I have nothing bad to say about her. The only weird thing is the Huskar thing, but maybe that will clarify if we get back to that page. And then obviously, the Dragon Boy is back, Galruk, the Great Drake. So he may be fielded in any Warriors of Chaos army using any army composition, so you can run him as and where you please. For all intents and purposes, I think he's just a dragon stat line. So movement 6, web skill 6, blitz skill 3, strength, toughness, and wounds of 6. Initiative 4, 6 attacks, leadership 9, and he comes in at 465 points. He's Behemoth. He's got his Wicked Claws and Dark Fire of Chaos, which we'll get to, Fumes of Contagion, and Draconic Scales, which count as full plate armor. He comes as standard as a level 4 wizard, and he knows spells from the lore of dark magic. And he comes in built with Armored Hide 1, which basically takes him to a 3-up armor save. Breath of Change, Close Order, Fly 10, Large Target, Mark of Zinch, Regeneration 5+, Spirit of Galruk, Stomp Attacks D6, Swift Stride, Terror, 2-headed dragon. So basically, Chaos Dragon with a bit of spice added in, and he's a level 4 wizard taking access to dark magic. He has the Breath of Change, which is, again, something that's caused a little bit of controversy. So once per game, instead of using the Dark Fire of Chaos or Chaos Fumes, or Dark Fire of Chaos or Fumes of Contagion, which are the standard breath weapons that come with the regular Chaos Dragon, so the Strength 2 ignores armor and the Strength 4 -1 breath attacks, I think. So instead of using those, once per game, he can use the Breath of Change. You place a Flame Tame plate with its broad end over the intended target, narrow end touching Garruk, so you use it as a breath weapon. And the template must lie entirely within Garruk's vision arc. Any model whose base lies underneath the template risks being hit, as usual. But any model hit, friend or foe, must immediately make a toughness test. If the test is failed, the model is overwhelmed by the warping power of chaos and is immediately removed from play as a casualty. If the test is passed, it has no effect. So there was quite a lot of this in 8th edition. There was a lot of like Dwellers Below. There was a few janky stuff, wasn't there? It was just like, roll badly, don't matter what wound is, what your ward is, what armor save is, anything like that, it's just removed as play. And they got rid of a lot of it in this edition, but it looks like they're slowly sprinkling it back in. Because theoretically, I mean, well, I'm not going to go through the maths of it, but you could fly up to your opponent's Chaos Dragon or Dragon Lord and just go template, 4+ it's hit, make your toughness test, you fail it, it's just dead.
Yeah. It's because I'm kind of looking as well, like, so obviously you've got that extreme, but just gets monsters in general. Again, it's hard to do because they're toughness 6 and whatnot. But the regular flame breast's pretty good anyway. But if you go up against something that's got like the Troll Horde, you run into the Troll Horde and they've got a big like squad of trolls. You go right, all hit. Oh, they're all hit. Oh, they're all. You could just melt a unit of whole trolls. You could just. It's very good, and I don't know whether. Again, like if there's ways you could lower an opponent's toughness, you could try and like lower their toughness down and then fly up and hit them with it and go right toughness test. You know, it depends if tests are taken on a modified toughness. If they're not, that could be a tactic. It used to be a tactic in 8th where I think it was, where it's just tactic in general with those sort of spells. It's pretty nasty. Okay, it's once per game. I mean, if it was not once per game, it would be insane.
Oh, it'd be horrific.
It would be ridiculous,
well,
but
like you're
pretty
saying
mental.
there, I mean, it's a shame he hasn't got access to dark magic with that minus toughness spell. Oh wait, he has.
He does.
So if it isn't unmodified,
yeah.
that's already 1 - 1 or 2 toughness.
Yeah. So I think that is still. I don't think tests taken at just like natural. So yeah, I mean, in most cases that doesn't matter, but there are some monsters that are only T5. So. You know, and like the elven ones, if you take quite a common one, is the elven wizard on Sundragon. I believe is only T5. So you make a T4, and then it's like right, on a 5 and a 6, you're dead.
Yeah.
And it's like 400 points. And you may go, oh well, is it worth using on that? It's like yeah, because if you kill a 500-point wizard with just pop it, then it's like great, cool, right, I'll move on.
Yeah.
And he's made his points back from that one little because the rest of Breath Weapon's really good. But yeah, I was reading it, I was like, oh, okay.
I think
It's
weirdly enough as
pretty
well,
good.
we've rarely, if ever, seen breath weapons actually be used on dragons, because usually if you're close enough to use it, you're close enough to charge, and you'll do more damage on the charge. And I think that's still a factor for Garrock, but with him being a wizard as well, I think he actually quite benefits from being a bit more shooty against most things, especially because he can take dark magic. If you get like Infernal Gateway, that gives him so much flexibility.
He also does sort of cancel out the problem with Wolves of the Sea.
In what way?
Because he could be taking any army composition, right?
Oh yeah, you can take him in all three.
So, I've taken my Chaos Lord on Dragon, and then I'm going to take this. Now I've got my Sorcerer and my Chaos Lord. Then you're not.
And
I've
two
got
dragons.
And two dragons.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he's arguably not very expensive. Like 465 points, you can definitely fit a Dragon Lord in there. You know, I mean, you only have 535 points to spend on one. Oh no, you're probably going to have enough to deck them out enough.
You could easily still go Chaos Lord Dragon, just give him a flail and a decent
and mark
mutation.
Yeah, that's probably it. And you could probably, I mean, how much is a Chaos Lord on Dragon base?
Well, I think the Dragon's 285, so you're probably looking at the 400 mark. 480, sorry. Yeah.
480, so you can definitely take a Chaos Dragon, Chaos Lord, you could put him on a Chaos Dragon, and then you can give him
55 points worth of points.
You could give him Arcane Journal, and you could give him
Enchanting Aura.
Enchanting Aura.
Give him a flail. Away you go.
You got 10 points. Yep, you could give him a flail and shield.
Could do.
And he's 430 points. There you go. And you got 430 points. Yeah. And he'll do the job, or you could go Great Weapon or whatever. I mean, technically, give a flail and a halberd if you really want, but obviously, you probably just take the.
Yeah, no, I think like you could easily be a menace and shooter unit with this thing. Like, obviously, you've got Mark of Tzeentch, so you can take the Tzeentch signature, which everybody enjoys.
Very good.
Dark magic. If you get Infernal Gateway, getting that maneuverability as well for your breath weapon, as well as the toughness reducing things like that, you could really start sacking units. There is,
and he's still durable.
He's still a dragon at the end of the day, and he's still got 3 up save. He doesn't have
he's 6 with 3 up save.
He's got ward, but he's got 5 up regen, so he's got 3 at 5 up. Like that's enough. 6 wounds at toughness 6. So he does come up with a few other special rules as well, which could obviously hinder you depending on how you roll.
These do balance him out. So like this thing, he's powerful initially, but they do have this factor.
So in the old edition, I used to have just stupidity, which I think used to be it was a variant stupidity. I think if he was stupid, he was also used to attack himself. So that's been replaced with the Spirit of Garrock. So during the start of turn subphase for each of your turns, you need to make a leadership test for him. So he's leadership 9, so shouldn't fail it too often. Test is passed, you control him as normal.
Curse yourself forever now.
Yeah, I'm forever going to fail these tests as I get them on the table. If you pass the test, all's honky dory. If you fail the test, so the spirit within him starts rebelling. His wizard level is reduced to 1, and he can only cast 1 spell a turn. He's subject to random movement 2d6, and if he's engaged in combat, he must direct d3 of his own attacks, so he has 6, it could be half, random fractions down against himself. And any wounds that he causes against himself are added to the enemy's combat result. So sometimes you could sort of prep ready for that good turn to then go, right, next turn I'm going to Infernal Gateway, I'm going to move up, I'm going to get in contact with these trolls, I'm going to use my Breath of Change, everything's going to go hunky-dory. And then you roll that double 6, and then suddenly he's a level 1 wizard that's 2d6 movement. And
I just also think, I think that's permanent. Because nowhere does it say until end of turn. It doesn't say that. It says during the start of turn subphase of each of your turn.
Well, you roll again, don't you? So if you pass the test, you control him as normal.
It doesn't say that, though.
So during the start turn subphase on each of your turns, make a leadership test. So if you pass the test, he's controlled as normal. If you fail the test, he starts rebelling. Is the wizard level? So I presume all that falls into the.
I'm assuming it's once per turn. I might be being pedantic here, but it's just one of those where I'm reading because logically it would be like
until the start of his next turn he has these.
Until the start of next turn it has this. I'm assuming it's a case of because otherwise that's rough. I mean, if you have it that it's just like I mean, the best way to actually look at that is how the stupidity is worded, because it's stupidity, obviously prepared, already have a rulebook. It's a minor detail. I mean, it's arguably being pedantic, but you know, rules as written, because that. Obviously, it's not the same rule, but it depends on how they worded that. And okay, I think it's just for that turn.
No, stupidity is the same. Does the same on the talent zone.
Yeah, unless engaged in combat unit with special must make a stupidity test during the start of turn subphase. To make a stupidity test against the unit's leadership characteristic, if the test failed, the unit becomes stupid. A stupid unit moves during the compulsory move subphase, must move straight ahead without performing any maneuvers. Can march to declare a unit or mount that does not have the special becomes stupid. Yeah, it's one of those where I think they've just gone, it's for the turn. I mean, I was assuming that's how it works, but no, my brain sort of went, I'm assuming it is, but it's
if it wasn't a turn 1, it's like, right, leadership. Oh no, it failed. You're okay.
Cool.
Okay.
I'm a level 1 wizard, and I random move 2d6, and see, weirdly, the random move isn't awful because it means you can get some janky charges off technically, because it's not like the troll movement, because stupidity is just like they just move
up to that
forward.
distance now, and they don't have to go to the closest unit or anything like that. Yeah.
But random movement, he could, and it's also random movement. So you go, oh, I rolled 2d6, I rolled 1, I'm just going to move up, because random movement now is up 2. So you can roll 12 and just go, I'm just going to go an inch. But you don't have to move it.
You could also net some distance, because you probably don't want to be marching with them a lot if you're casting spells. So he's only going to be flying 10. So if you do roll a level or 12, you actually gain movement. But obviously it's only level 1 and so on. So 9 times out of 10, you don't want to be failing that leadership test just because you want the +4 to the casting and dispelling, because I presume, like you say, if you'd be level 1 for their turn as well, so you're going to be shit at dispelling. But
that's the only thing, is it doesn't say when, being again pedantic.
I presume if it's like
when the effects end.
Yeah, if it's like stupidity, I presume it's until you pass the test again. So you remain hindered until you pass your start turn subphase, then you go back into the lane of being good. If you fail again, you just keep swapping.
I'm assuming. I've just said, because normally if it was that, it would say if the test has failed until the start of your next turn.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it is a case of that's how it works, and then I guess screw you, Galric. Like, you'll be playing, but like, I brought him, I painted him for 5 hours, and then you go, oh, and he failed the test, and
yeah, and then obviously you've got two-headed dragon, which is just the standard breath weapons that all Chaos Dragons come with. So he's got his Wicked Claws, be -2, the Strength 4 -1 breath attack, flaming magical, and then the Fuming Contagion, which is Strength 2, breath magical, but obviously ignores armor. So yeah, all in all, he's
pretty good.
He's solid, I think.
Yeah, he's 465 points for a dragon that can cast magic, that has an absurdly good breath weapon. And apart from the leadership thing, which, to be honest, you're unlikely to fail consistently.
Yeah. And obviously, if you wanted to as well, obviously, again, it's risky with the Spirit Garruk, but he's still a character, so you could just make him your general if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
He's large target, so that still gives you another alternative for if you don't want to take the Chaos Lord. Because arguably he's cheaper than a Chaos Lord. I know, obviously, Chaos Lord's probably got more output.
I wouldn't say he's necessarily. I'd say he's technically a little worse than a Chaos Lord, because it's like Chaos Lord is designed to one thing: you send him into combat, he kills whatever is in combat, he moves on. Galric is a bit more like, oh well, actually, I want to use the breath weapon and I want to use his magic. So actually, just sending him in there is good, but you're probably paying a lot of points just to do that.
Yeah.
So
next up, we have the Marauder Tribe Chieftains. So if you remember from the Wolves of the Sea, these are the alternatives you can use as a BSB instead of the Aspiring Champion. So they're basically like a middle ground between Aspiring Champion but Marauder level character. So they're movement 4, web skill 5, bliss skill 3, strength and toughness 4, 2 wounds, initiative 4, 3 attacks, leadership 8, and 65 points to model. So pretty cheap choice if you don't want to sort of commit to the Aspiring Champion level.
Yep.
Regular infantry, they come in the 25s, so they're Marauder styles, and they come with hand weapon, light armor to start with. You can basically kit them out as if they were a Marauder, so I won't go through the whole lot, but it's like flails, cavalry spears, grey weapons, throwing axes, all that jazz. Put them on a warhorse, and then he can take a mark of chaos, and magic items up to 50 points. He comes with ambushes built in, he comes with chaos armor 6+ built in, gaze of the gods, mark of chaos undivided, rallying cry, and warband, and obviously you can upgrade him to have him on a warhorse. So He's cool. He's if you did want to really keep the Marauder theme, you could pay for him instead of the Inspiring Champion. He'd be cheaper. You can, because he comes with the ambushes built in, you wouldn't have to pay the 10 points like you would for the Aspiring Champion in the Wolves of the Sea. And he comes with Warband as well, so if you do put him with like a brick of Marauder Horsemen, they can still obviously re-roll the charges, things like that. So I like him. I like the fact you can make up a BSB. It poses the option for cooler conversions, and then, like I say, just keeping things on theme. But no.
And again, he still has Gaze of the Gods, so he still can become really scary later on, and he's cheap. So you could honestly just give him a flail.
Yeah, I like to say strength 6 -2 on the first turn of combat is
with 4 attacks, and he might roll extra strength, he might roll extra attacks. I mean, that's the best thing about any of the Chaos characters, is that in general they can start out really meh. I mean, like, I played against at the event we went to, I played against a Beastman player, and obviously they have basically the same Gaze of the Gods, and he just had Centaur characters who, again, kind of like this, they're kind of middling, they're just like Web Skill 5, Strength 4, Toughness 4, that sort of thing. And he just kept rolling all the buffs, and over the game, it's just like, oh, now he's got +1 strength, he's got +1 attack, he's got +1 web skill, he's got +1 strength again. And they went from just being like meh to being, oh, these are like lord level, high level character stats.
Well, I think we had a game once, didn't we? And I had a BSB. I think it was an exalted champion, so it was a bit better anyway. But I'm sure by turn 6 he had like 7 attacks at strength 7 and 8, or he got real dumb just because you kept getting lucky on them rolls.
Yeah.
One thing I like about this as well is, because I don't believe they do normally on upgrades, but their Warhorse has counter charge built in. So if you do put him with the Huskarls, I believe they have counter charge.
The Huskarls have counter charge.
Because it's the same with the FAQ in the first book, that Chaos Steeds didn't really originally have counter charge. So it meant if you decided to take a Lord on Chaos Steed and put him with Chosen, they couldn't use counter charge because he didn't have it. So his Warhorse upgrade can have counter charge. I think with the other units with on Warhorses that can have counter charge. But yeah,
nice.
All in all, he's good.
Pretty good.
So on to the first new infantry unit, Marauder Tribe Berserkers. These, I think, are a solid choice. So they're movement 5, toughness 4 Berserkers, essentially. That's the biggest change.
Yeah.
Marauders, sorry. Leadership 7, 8 if you take a Head Shaker, which is a champion, and they come at 8 points a model. They come with hand weapons and light armor built in, so you don't have to pay for that off the get-go. I think Marauders are... Just double check.
It's 6 or 7 points base. I feel like they're 7, but I'm wrong.
6 points base. So a generic Marauder is obviously 6 points base. So it's already the 2 extra points, but for that you get the light armor, which you normally pay a point for anyway, and you get an extra movement and toughness. So yeah. I think that's a win-win. They can still take flails. They can still take additional hand weapons. You can have full command. You can give them ambushes for a point, and they come with frenzy and Mark of Chaos Undivided built in. So they
move through cover.
And move through cover, open order, skirmishers, and warbands. So they can obviously re-roll those charges. Keep running the skirmish formation as well to be -1 to hit. And they come with Relentless Warriors, which is a 6 at ward save against any wounds caused by non-magic attacks.
Yeah, these are a bargain.
I don't. If you're gonna run the Wolves of the Sea, other than if you're really shaving off on points, but I don't think it's worth it. I think you'd never run the normal Marauders.
No, I honestly can't see you doing it. So normal Marauders 6 points. How much is it with the Mark of Corn?
2 points, I believe. So then it takes them to 8.
Yeah, so then you give it light armor, it's 9.
Yeah.
So immediately, they're actually more expensive.
But the main thing is, as well, is because these have Frenzy and Mark of Chaos Undivided, if you ever lose your Frenzy, they've still got Mark of Chaos Undivided, so they can go back to re-rolling the Panic Test and things like that.
Yeah.
So these are solid.
The 6 award. Yeah, I mean, these are... I can't see you ever running, because can you run them in... You can still run them in open order. Obviously, you don't have the closed order, which Marauders have, and you can't give them... Oh, no, you still have full command. Yeah, these are great.
Yeah.
I mean, weirdly, there's not a whole lot to say on them, because they're just brilliant.
Yeah, like I say, just compare them to regular Marauders. The movement, the toughness, and the cheapness with the comparison. I think, they're an auto include if you're going to run Berserkers. And then, like I say, having the flexibility to open order if you want to brick, skirmishers if you want to be a bit more loosey-goosey. Yeah, top tier.
They're technically squishier than Marauders because obviously you get Marauders shields and light armor, but then these have a 6 at ward, so
you can. But, I mean, I tend to never pay for the light armor or the shields. I just tend to go flails, probably full command, Mark of Corn, and just yeet them. So, like you say, the fact they have a 6 at ward and 6 of armor save there and ready waiting. I'm happy on that level of comparison.
Yeah.
And then the next unit of infantry is Skinwolves. So you get for 45 points, you get a movement 7, weapon skill 5, strength and toughness 4, 3 wounds apiece, initiative 4, 3 attacks apiece, leadership 7, monstrous infantry on a 40x40. You can upgrade one to be a Jarl for 7 points, and you basically just get an extra attack on him. Yeah, but he's not a champion.
You just specifically not a champion.
Yeah, so you can't do challenges with him, or you can't be challenged out.
It's kind of worth it every time, in my opinion.
I think he's when you get to the end of your army list and you've got that 10-15 points left, you could probably then go, okay, well, I took Jarl.
Yeah.
So you can run them 2+, So sky's the limit, as big as you want to make them. And the arc will be 7 points. They come with Blood Rage, Mark of Chaos Undivided, Open Order, Primal Fury, Regen 5+, Skirmishes, which is the big one, Swift Stride, and Warped Form. So that movement 7, Swift Stride, Skirmishes basically gives them that 360 line of sight, and their maximum charge is 16? 7 plus 6 plus 3? Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're pretty fucking fast. Like,
they also have, so if you're wanting anyone who doesn't, so Primal Fury and Blood Rage is the Beastmen abilities. So Primal Fury is when they start random combat, they take a leadership test. If they pass, you get rewards to hit, and then Blood Rage is if they pass on the doubles, they get Frenzy.
So then suddenly you're at 4 attack space, 5 on the champion.
Reroll ones to hit as well, and their weapon skill 5. So you hit most things on 3s, rerolling 1s. With 3, even with 3 of them, you're looking at 13 attack. They're hitting on 3s, so you're looking at like 8 hits, but you reroll 1s, so you're probably looking at more like 9, maybe 10 if you're lucky. They're only strength 4, but wait, there's more.
So, and then they also have Warped Form. So when this unit's combat is chosen to fight during step 1.1 of any choose and fight combat subphase, you can choose one of the following transfigurations. Each transfiguration lasts until the start of your next turn subphase, and you've got 1 of 3 options. You can go Enlarged Claws. So the armor piercing characteristics of the unit's weapons are improved by 1, so go from 0 to -1, and they gain armor bane 2. So 6 is a -3 essentially. Barbed protrusions. Sorry, do you want to add something?
Sorry. No. Carry on. I'll do this. So I thought you finished it.
We'll go through them all, and then we'll. So yeah, -1. Basically, give them AP 1 and armor bane 2 on the claws. You can go for barbed protrusions, so they get extra attacks 1. So then they go innately to that 13 attacks, 16 if you suddenly got Frenzy. And toughened flesh. So you can improve the toughness by 1, so they go to T5, and improve the armor by 2, and they have no armor, so they get 5 armor save. So essentially you've got better in combat, more deadly in combat, better at combat, defensive.
All are really good.
Yeah, all
are really good.
It gives you that flexibility in what you're going against. If you charge them against a load of units like Night Goblins and they don't have an armor save, you can just go for the extra attacks. If you get charged or charge something you think's going to hit like a train, you can make yourself T5 with a 5 up armor, and they have and the 5 up regen anyway. Yeah. So you can go on the defensive route, or if you're charging like dwarves, chaos, something heavily armored, you can go for the AP1 and armor bane.
So the point I was going to make, which I think is again a bit of controversy with these, is that there is a question of effectively, do you get to pick a transfiguration twice per turn? So if you charge, you get to combat, you pick them, you go, right, I'm going to pick the armor piercing. It says it lasts till the end of your
until your next start turn subphase.
So then on your opponent's turn, when you then, so let's say you attack, follow up, you're then locked in combat again, you then fight again, you pick again, do they get both buffs? Because that is a lot of questions, because then as people are saying, well, can I stack them? Because it's like, if I go, I'm going to improve my AP by 1, and I'm going to get armor 2, and then I'm going to do that again, then it's like, I'm AP 2 and armor bane 4, or I get an extra 2 attacks, or I improve my armor save by 4 and improve my toughness by 2.
T6 with 3 up saves.
Right, what? 6 up, 6 up, 5 up, 4 up, yeah. So I think there is a lot of thing where people are like, no, that's the one you have to stick with. But where it currently is that
I think the intention would probably be, if you do get a lucky overrun and going again, I think you could pick a new transfiguration, but it would replace the old one, or you'd be locked into your previous one.
Because that's one of those where you're like, I hope it doesn't work that way, because as you say, you could go, you're quite tanky armor. What if I just got rid of that problem? Or there's a lot of you, but what if I just had 7 attacks, 6 attacks a model, and you're like, okay. And then you go tough and flesh. Can you take these to the Wolves of the Sea?
I believe you can only take them in the Wolves of the Sea. So these don't have the caveat at the top saying they can be taken in any armed infantry, things like that, like characters do. And the only detachment they belong in is the Wolves of the Sea. So these are Wolves of the Sea specific.
Yeah. Does that mean that when they kill banners, they get to roll Gales of the Gods as well?
Yep. So you could potentially be giving them an extra attack, strength.
Weapons toughness for the turn. Oh, but I've also transfigured, so I'm now T6 with the 5 up armor. Oh, but I buffed it,
Or like you say, if they get frenzied, you pick the extra attack, they roll the extra attack. They could have like 19 attacks between 3 of them with the all.
and it's insane. And the skirmishers, so you can't hide from them.
No.
They got Swift Stride, they're really fast. They got regen, like they are quite tanky. You know, they're like they're as tanky as a troll is effectively, but they're weapon skill 5, so they don't have the crack weapon skill on their bad side.
Yeah, there's no bad thing about these.
So they get to reroll leadership tests.
The only negative, and it's
really
not
needed.
even a negative, I don't think, is once you get your frenzy, you can start to get baited. But at that point, I don't think you care. With a charge of 16, like you can bait them as much as you can bait cavalry, but they can still quite.
Hold on. Well,
Yeah.
let's check something on that because I don't know if the frenzy. I always get this mixed up. Is like you get frenzy till the end of the turn.
Oh, so it's just
I
like
don't think
combat. Yeah, because that could make a
Yeah.
difference. In that case, then if that is how it works, they don't have any downsides. So we'll have a look at that.
No, yeah, they become frenzied and it's permanent.
Yeah, so you could start baiting them if they get there, but then if they're frenzied,
also-
chances are they've already murdered a unit. So
Yeah, and they get the frenzy back
yeah, so
because Blood Greed specifically means that you can, even if you lost it, you can get it back. So yeah, they're a brilliant unit. They're
I love
amazing.
these. You could quite happily see like 2 to 4 of these in most lists.
Yeah. I mean, even just like as a little like 2 of them, because it's 90 points. At that point, I mean, you could take the Jarl, but yeah. I mean, it's 7 points just for the extra attack. It depends how much you value that extra attack. I mean, we do know, we both agree, an extra attack actually is it's a big deal in our world because you could kill that front rank. Because if these guys charge in, you go, okay, but these 2 attacks into your champion, the rest go to the unit. You just murder the front rank of the squad. You go,
Yeah.
oh, I've killed like 8 dudes. All your other stuff is irrelevant. I'm going to chase you. It's pretty nasty. So, yeah, but they're a real good squad.
Can't beat them. And then on to the first new cavalry unit of the game, which is the Marauder Tribe Huskars. So these are, again, new style Marauders on a warhorse. So T4, 1 attack, 2 on the first sword, which is the champion, mounted on warhorses. They come at 18 points apiece. They are light cav, so they're on 30 by 60 still, but they're light cav. They come starting 5+, and again, they come with a light armor built in. So, comparing them to Marauder Horsemen, again, the upgrades are pretty much identical. The only upgrade on these is they do have access to replace their light armor with heavy armor. So, if you've suddenly taken heavy armor and shields, you've now got 4 up save Marauders, whereas usually that's the one thing they lack. You can still take Mark of Gorn, you can still take flails, javelins, spears, all that jazz. Full command, magic standard up to 50 points. You can give 0 to 1 per 1,000 drilled for 2 points to model, and your first sword can have up to 25 points of magic items. These come as close order, whereas usually the Marauder Cav are open. They have countercharge built in, so like I say, if you do want to run that Marauder Tribe Chieftain on a warhorse, you can chuck him to these and not lose your countercharge. They have Furious Charge built in. Mark of Chaos Undivided, Swift Stride and Warband. Again, yeah, I think these are brilliant. Like I say, just giving 5 or 6 of them with flails, heavy armor, shields, gives you a bit of survivability on the way to their battle, and then you can countercharge, and then get access to your Furious Charge, hopefully, or try and make them Lambong charges to get your Furious Charge, and you've got Warband, so you can reroll them. Yeah,
Well, you give Mark a Corn, and then they're 3 attacks a model.
Yeah, and then suddenly, I have to charge Gun Frenzy. Well, reroll it.
Yeah. I was looking at it. I mean, flails are great. Do quite like the idea of the cavalry spears. I will say that. That's just in my opinion, but I know obviously it's not as good because it's only it's not the +2 and -2.
It's +1, -1 on the charge, and then just -2. No, -1. Sorry.
I don't think you get any minuses. I might be wrong, but I think cavalry spears means you can fight in ranks.
I guess I don't know if you'd ever run these as a rank though. I mean, like, yeah,
You drill them.
you could.
And I will say this: if you can take drilled,
Yeah.
always take drilled. It is an amazing rule, and I feel like a massive hypocrite because I never used to rate it. I played the one event with it, and I used it constantly. I will say though, just don't put your models on movement trays. It's a waste of time because you will constantly be going out and in and out and in, and that's what you'll be doing. So yeah, don't. It's so good. I mean, drilled is amazing in general. These can get a little spenny because that's the only other thing I'm thinking is if you take flails, you give them heavy armor, you give them shields, you give them marker corn. So immediately it's like flails is 1 point, heavy armor's 1 point, shields are 1 point, marker corn is 2 points, drilled is then 2 points. They're like 25 points a model, which to be honest is still really cheap.
Yeah,
Like,
so
that's
125
really cheap.
points for 5 of them still.
for good solid cavalry. I do see. I do like the flails. Don't get me wrong, I do. Because the flails are like, oh well, you know, I mean, on the charge they're strength 5. They'll be strength 5 -2 with 15 attacks, 16 with the champion from 5 guys. And again, the rules of the sea. So if you kill, you get a roll on the gaze. You could get extra strength. I mean, if they become strength 6, that's nuts. If they become weapon skill 5, that's nuts. If they get an extra attack, that's real nuts. So yeah, they're just really good. I mean, and they have countercharge, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's massive.
Yeah, a must take. I don't know. Like they're just. I mean, thank God you can't run these all the time because I think you just would. They're so 125 points, fully upgraded, and they'll just delete on ranks. You just send them in, and like champions. I mean, they'll like one of these champions would be, and then I roll Gaze of the Gods again, and then it's like, oh cool, he's now strength 8 with his flail or strength 7 with his flail around. Yeah, nuts.
Yeah,
they're
like,
great.
Going back to what I said in the Walls of the Sea, like you lose access to Chaos Knights, but then gaining these, you've not really lost a lot. Like,
no, I think these. I feel like these are better than Chaos Knights.
They're better for the points.
They're okay. They're slightly less durable. They have 1 less save technically. They have the same toughness. They have 1 less weapon skill, or Chaos Knight's weapon skill 4.
There's no weapon skill 5, so they lose a weapon skill, a strength, and a point of save because obviously the Chaos Knights will have 3.
And they but then how many points are Chaos Knights? Like 30 odd.
28.
Again, to the book. You might be able to get it quicker than me.
Yeah, I got it up. 27.
They're 27 points a model.
So you're already 11 points cheaper, 9 points cheaper than a Chaos Knight, bog standard.
But then Chaos Knight, you go, oh well, you want to give him Mark of Corn, so immediately you're an extra 2 points on there, and you probably want to take Lancers because again,
another 2.
You want to hit hard. So they're 31 points a model. So you're like, okay, well actually,
And what did we say these were? 25.
And they don't have countercharge.
Yeah, it's big. Oh, Warband for rerolls.
Yeah, for the rerolls. So these, I just think are better. I just think they're honestly better.
The good thing as well is these are close order, not open order, so you're still getting that extra combat res, which you don't normally get with regular Marauders. Because they usually skirmish or...
as well.
Yeah, because of the Furious Charge, yeah.
Like, they're so good for their points. Like, I would honestly invest in I mean, I'd be tempted to see what they're like with Cavalry Spears. The only reason but no, Flail's probably a better option.
And then
I'm just thinking like for the shield, but
yeah.
Flails.
And then going back to what we said earlier is obviously in Fradal's rule, she says you can add +1 or -1 to these when they make an ambush roll, but we found no way to actually give them ambush yet.
It might be a rules mistake that they've written in there that it's like they can have ambush, because if these could have ambush, you stick a unit of 5 of these behind your opponent, and it's like, oh, okay, that's there. What do I do with that?
The only other thing I'm thinking of is, so we talked about in obviously, and I'm going down the rabbit hole here with my tinfoil hat, but we spoke about in the Dwarf Arcane Journal, they mentioned objective markers, which obviously hints towards new missions coming out. Unless one of those missions has an option where it's like you can put some of your army in reserve and they gain ambush.
Possibly.
Maybe it's a proper tinfoil conspiracy thing, but
that could be the reason. But yeah, no, these are great. These are amazing. Both Marauder units so far. Like every Marauder unit. I mean, you put one of the characters in here, the Huskull Chieftains, and that's a dangerous squad. 5 of these with him, and it's less than 200 points.
Yeah, I think there's no comparison to the old Marauders. I don't see why you'd ever run them. Just the toughness 4 alone is enough, because that used to be the downside of Marauders. Like they're a lesser Chaos Warrior being strength and toughness 3.
Yeah.
And then obviously lesser weapon skill, which obviously you're paying for from Marauder. But the fact that these ones are toughness 4, that alone is enough just to push the old Marauders to one side.
Same, because if you, I guess the one thing with, I think you wouldn't ever run regular Marauder Horsemen anymore.
No.
In this case.
Horsemen, yes. I wouldn't run regular Marauders. Because I think Marauder Horsemen still have their purpose, because obviously you can still make them skirmishers.
Oh, true.
So you can still get a bit more flexibility if you want to take the whole flail javelin route of a few skirmishing horsemen going up, whereas these are replacing the knights as your formed unit going up, trying to get to the charge. But I don't think regular Marauders, you just run the berserkers every time.
I guess that the benefit of them is you can run them without frenzy. That is the one benefit. So if you want to run them with Mark and Nurgle to try and make them a bit like more durable, or if you want to just run them Marcus, or if you want to run Marcus Inch and put a sorcerer in there, to get the benefit.
Yeah.
So I think, again, to be honest, I think it's just a case of they all have their place, and that's really good because you're like, oh no, I lost my access to Chaos Knights. Bam, here you go. Oh no, I lost my access to my Chosen. Bam, the other ones. Like, there's no loss. There's just gain. So.
They're a real good alternative. Next up is the Chosen Chaos Chariots. So comparing these to the regular chariots, Chaos Chariot will set you back at 110 points a piece. These are 140. So you are paying an extra 30 points. However, you end up with Chosen Charioteers on the back. So it's an extra 2 attacks, say, because obviously you've got 2 of them. And they come with counter charge, which I think is big for the 30 points. So one of these on the charge now, you suddenly get in your D6 plus 1 AP2 impact hits. Then you're getting 4 attacks at weapon skill, 5 strength 5 -1 from the charioteers on the back, as well as 2 horses. If you make them frenzy, that's suddenly charioteers on the back are 6 attacks. Yeah. And you've got counter charge just in case you get caught out in a bad position and someone else is going to charge you. You just initiate counter charge and then throw your impact hits back out. They also have first charge. So if you charge these into big bricks of inventory, that could be rough.
Well, because it's already, I mean, your combat res is already 1, but if you charge into a combat unit of infantry and you're like, okay, well, I've got rid of your ranks, we're both close order, so that cancels. So you've got a banner? Alright. I've killed 12 men. Do you want to try and kill me back? Oh, you killed nothing. I win.
Yeah.
You know, like...
That's what I mean.
Because they have halberds as well, so...
Yes.
And I don't know whether this is a little caveat they put in there because of the whole weird thing they had, but they put D6 impact hits, chariot only.
Yeah, I think they've had to specify now. That's going to be a future thing.
No, the Chosen don't make impact hits.
Yeah, it's not. And the horses, remember, so it's 5d6 plus 5 Chosen for impact hits, right? That's how it's intended.
Yeah. Yeah, these are great. And you could put a Chaos Lord on one.
Yeah, I love that. I love the fact they've made it an optional mount as well for a Lord champion or Aspiring champion. I can see why they have done it, but I'm glad Sorcerer Lord isn't on there because I know they're quite a popular choice for chariots at the minute. They'd make them a bit too much, I think. But no, I like.
The last question for this unit is: sorry, do the regular Chaos chariots have a 4-up armor or 3-up armor?
This level 3-up armor, I believe.
Okay, cool. Yeah, but for 30 points, I mean, if you want to run chariots and you're not about that running the core, I would definitely run these because these are 1 per 1,000. So in a 2k list, you can have 2. But for 30 points, I think they're a steal. Just because the counter charge, first charge, and the extra attacks.
Yeah,
for 30 points.
I like them.
No downside. Yeah.
Then like I say, still put the marks on them to give me flexibility. They're pretty
they're
good. Right, onto this. This is your favourite model, isn't it, Rob? The gigantic spawn of chaos. So there's a lot to break down on this one, so we'll take it step by step. So its movement is 3d6. As is the regular spawns. Well, I think they're 2d6 both, so it's got random movement like spawns. It's weapon skill 3, it's strength 6, toughness 6, 6 wounds, initiative 3. It's got d6 plus 1 attacks, and it's leadership 10, and it sits in at a lonely 145 points standard.
A smidgen of points.
Yeah. It's a behemoth to start things off, and so that means obviously it's stomp attacks, which we'll get to, obviously -2. Comes with slashing talons and a gnashing maw, and then it has scaly skin, which is heavy armor, so it's got 5 armor save. You can give it Khorne, Nurgle, Slash, or Tzeentch for its marks, which have alternative variations, which we'll get to, for the special rules granted. And the special rules it has is Armor Bane 2, Close Order, First Charge, Immune Psychology, Large Target, Random Attacks, Random Movement, Stomp Attacks D6, Terror, Timber, and Unbreakable. So essentially, it's a mutated version of the Giant. I was surprised it had D6 stomp attacks and not D3, because most of the time on the lesser things, like Tree Men and things like that, it deviates down to D3.
So, as it is, so let's read its weapons, right? I know let's read its weapons,
and then we'll go back to the marks.
As it is.
So the talons, obviously, unlike most behemoths, are, I say only, it's still good, are -1. So it'd be strength 6 -1,
too.
But obviously armor bane 2, so 6 is a -3. And then it has the gnashing maw attack. So in combat, it can choose to make one of its attacks with this weapon. And for each wound the enemy loses as a result of attack made with this weapon, the model can immediately recover a single lost wound. And that one's obviously it uses strength -2 and strikes last. So it's pretty good. It's got what? So it's got 3d6 movement, so you can't declare charge reactions against it, like stand and shoot or flee, so it can get pretty swifty. It'll have d6 plus 1 attacks, a minimum 2, maximum 7 attacks, Strength 6 -1. One of them will also be Strength 6 -2 if you're hurt, because you're never going to not use that attack to try and get a win back.
Yeah.
And then obviously it's got 5 up armor. So it doesn't have like regeneration or anything like that, so it's only got an armor save, but for 105 points, 5 points, you can't really complain at that, I don't think.
I think it's brilliant for 105 points.
But then obviously you can give it marks. And obviously, so Khorne is 20, Nurgle's 25, Slaanesh is 15, and Tzeentch is 10 points. So if you give it the mark of Khorne for 20 points, it gives you impact hits D3 and killing blow. Yeah. So you get there's extra D3 impact hits on the charge going in. You get your D6 +1 attacks whilst you're in, and then you get your D6 stomp attacks at the end. And all 3 variants of those have killing blow.
Killing blow on all of them. So you could just have impact hits, bam, fascinated, stomp.
Yeah. If the stack block wasn't enough and you was like, no, it's scandalous, it doesn't have regeneration, then you can pay for Mark Nurgle, and then you gain poison attacks and a regen 5+ for 25 points. So then it'll have a 5 up. And then obviously your poisons 6 up hits go straight through. If you want to give it Slaanesh, which I think is one of my personal favourites, for 15 points, it can give it counter charge and strikes first. So I think the big hit on that is obviously it being initiative 10 with its regular attacks, and then it will go back to regular initiative with its maul, because they'll cancel each other out.
I have a question with this, because we always have this. Sorry. Stomp attacks. I always get this mixed up. Are they always strikes last, or are they just done at initiative step 1?
I believe they're definitely initiative step 1, but I don't know if they're quote-unquote strikes last.
Technically, if they're strikes last, the stomps would then go at his actual initiative, technically. But, if again, it's one of those things, guys, we just got to check, because we want to be wrong. Stomp. Because if they just strikes, I mean, might be a rookie error, but we always get this sort of.
The stomp attacks are made in combat always strike at initiative 1 regardless of modifiers. So yeah, they'll still be initiative 1 with the strikes first.
Yeah, so it's a case of it because they don't have always strikes last. They just always strike at initiative 1. That's fine. Okay, that's good.
Technically, if you go down the rabbit hole again, though, as the rules is written, it says regardless of modifiers, not special rules. So we're trying that.
Yeah, no, but with that, it's because it says it always strikes at initiative 1.
Yeah.
It's not because always strikes first makes you initiative 10, but this would just make you initiative 1. Because if it said it always strikes last, then yes, it would cancel. Thank God it doesn't say that. Yeah,
and then obviously, finally, which always seemed to be the last choice on everyone's options, is the Mark of Tzeentch, which isn't bad, but I don't think compared to, if you can't afford the rest of the marks, it's fine. But for 10 points, you get flame attacks, magical attacks, and Magic Res 2. The Magic Res 2 is the good bit in there, because if it starts getting spammed by spells, at least it's harder to cast. Magical attacks shuts off troll rerolls, things like that, and certain ward saves like Phoenix Guard, Marauders, whatnot.
You know what does that better though?
Killing blow. Yeah.
I mean, I think the Nurgle one is very good. It's cool. Like, you can make this thing quite tanky, 5 up armor, 5 up regen. But I think it's between Khorne and Slaanesh every time. I'm actually leaning more towards Slaanesh. The Khorne is nice because of the killing blow, but making the gnashing more always basically strike at initiative. If you count as charging and you go the full distance, this thing goes to initiative stick. You then strike it. You're going to use that more attack every time. You're going to chomp down on someone, and you have counter charge. So if somebody's like, "Oh, don't deal with that," then it's like, "Cool, boom, 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 boom. I'm in. I'm always strikes first. I'm going to hit you first." And you
could save that gnashing more attack as well, just to bite the head off the unit champion.
But then if you counter charge, you're still going to be initiative 6 with it.
That's what I mean, though. Yeah. So slashing talons put into the unit, gnashing more the unit champion. Suddenly you kill the front rank. They can't attack you anymore.
Yeah. And so, I think, and Slaanesh is only 15 points, so his stat is 160 points. I mean, I think they're a bargain.
Compared to a Chaos Giant that's about 200 points base.
Yeah. You can take him a Beastman as well, which I didn't realise.
Yeah, so this is what I was talking about earlier. So you've got Chaos and Khan at the bottom. So any army made using the Warriors Chaos or Beastman Brayhead's Grand Army can include 0 to 1 per 1,000 points as a rare choice. Yeah. So you can take them across the board. But yeah, they can go Beastman.
160 points. I mean, I think Khorne is also very good. I mean, if you play against, if you run into someone who's running Troll Horde and you've got that, it's like, oh, okay, because that could just quite comfortably. Oh, on my impact hits, I got 6, 1 troll dead. On my normal attacks, I got 2 6s, 2 trolls dead.
Yeah.
On my gnashing maw, I killed a troll.
It's
'Cause that
also
as well.
it's also got terror as well. So when you're on them break tests, they're at -1 to them.
As well, I don't know technically. Again, don't know if this exactly works. But Gnashing Maw, if that killing blows a troll, I think you heal 3 wounds.
I think it's still 1. So if
Because it
in
says
combat,
for each wound enemy unit loses.
yeah, but then it
control of
recovers a
attack.
single lost wound. For
Does that
oh
pay
wait,
per
hold on.
wound?
For each wound an enemy unit's a single attack. Oh yeah, because you think it say if you cause 1 or more wounds, you recover. Maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, if
So
you're 3 wounds
technically,
down and you kill and blow a troll,
You just whop, I'm back to full.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are great. 165 points.
and then suddenly if it doesn't go as planned and it does die and it's sad, it's got timber, so you could just fall on the enemy and cause another d6 hits at -2.
Yeah, exactly. Do they get killing blow as well?
Well,
I don't think so. But yeah, no, I think these are great.
they're,
And they're
yeah,
unbreakable.
they're
You know,
steal for points.
their first charge as well, so that you can slam into a unit, and that unit's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, there's nothing
You
bad
know-
to say about these. Like, the only downside is they're a behemoth that are usually -2 with their hand weapons, but I don't think you care about it, just be -1 at that point. They have enough special rules to counteract it.
Yeah, and like they're still armor bane, and that's where I think for me the strikes first and the counter charge is very good. I don't know if the marker corn just outweighs it because the killing blow. Just being able to just kill models outright, I think both are good. I think it's super. That unfortunately, I think just you can't obviously tailor, but that's why a lot of people are just running 2, and then you just run one with
One
each.
of each, yeah.
Because you got all your cavalry on that flank, cool. There you go, Slash Boy, and you got your monsters over there, cool. All your monsters, infantry and stuff over there.
Yeah, I agree.
no, I think
I think for me, I'm running Slanesh tomorrow to give that a go. I think Slanesh is the good average,
yes.
whereas Killing Blow is the best one, but can be quite
Quite swingy.
yeah. It can determine. It depends what you're playing against. It can be. I can't think of the word off the top of my head, but you want that against the big monstrous infantry, trolls, cavalry, things like that. Whereas strikes first, counter charge could just be generically good against most infantry. But yeah, solid choice. The next big monster of the day is the Warpfire Dragons making their return.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I believe other than an attack, these are essentially a dragon, Chaos Dragon stat line.
Mm-hmm.
So movement 6, weapon skill 6, strength, toughness, and wound 6, initiative 3. 5 attacks. I think Chaos Dragons usually have 6, and then their leadership
I think
8,
so.
and they come at 375 points base. So they're an extra 90 points on top of Chaos Dragons, I believe, because I think they're 285.
Yeah.
However, your behemoth a behemoth monster, you come with Wicked Claws and a Warpfire Blast, which we'll get to, and Draconic Scales, which counts full plate armor. So it comes with the 4 save. You can also upgrade it to become a wizard, and it can take. So you can either become a level 1 wizard for 30 points or a level 2 wizard for 60 points, and it has access to battle magic, demonology, and dark magic. It comes with explosive demise, fire and chaos, fly turn, large target, law of chaos, which I didn't actually spot at first actually, which means it can take the signatures.
Mm-hmm.
Magic attacks, magic rest 2 built in, mark of chaos undivided, regen 5+, stomp attacks d6, swift stride, terror, warp fire aura. So fancy dragon basically for the extra 90 points. You can invest to make it a wizard. The thing I like as well is it has the magic rest 2 built in regardless whether you're a wizard or not. So if people try and start slowing it down and spamming it with spells, it's a little bit harder to cast.
It does. I think obviously it makes the thing like 435 points. I think it's worth running it as a level 2.
I do. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, originally I didn't realise it had Law of Chaos. Oh, and I suppose, yeah, it has Law of Chaos, but it can't take a mark, so you can only take the Chaos Undivided spell. So I think if you were going to run it, you go Demonology, and then you take the Signature, which is 2d6 hits at Strength 4 -1. And you
Is that a assailment? So is that a
Magic Missile.
Yeah.
So if you want to, going back to obviously what it's Warpfire Blast at the minute, you can spend the first couple of turns just using it as a shooting platform until you get to a good spot, and then just send it in.
Yeah, I'd also I'd be tempted as well to try and run a law that's got a good amount of assailment spells. I always get this mixed up because I'm an all player, I don't play much magic. The ones you can use in combat.
Yeah, assailments.
Because then you send this in, it's like, oh, it's only got 5 attacks, but it's got like 2 assailment spells, and then it starts casting those off. It's like, oh, actually, it's quite, again, in combat, it's really good in general, like for that.
Well, I think if you get let's have a quick look.
It's got battle magic, dark magic, demonology.
So obviously you only roll 2 spells, so you're gonna you could end up with the what's the assailment spell from demonology? Demonic Familiars, 2d6 strength 2 hits but no armor. That You can start packing
That's
a punch.
good, like that's pretty good.
Demonic Vessel, it could give itself +1 strength, +1 attack, and +1 AP. So then it suddenly becomes strength 7, 6 attacks, -3.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you could do that in the same turn. Yeah. No, I think
But
I think making a wizard's amazing.
I think, you take Battle Magic and suddenly it's Pillar of Firing and Fireball and Arcane Urgency. So the sky's the limit.
Do something else.
Yeah, I think Demonology would be my favourite choice, just because you can guarantee taking that signature, which is 2d6 strength 4 -1 hits if you want to just shoot a load of things on the way in. And then if you do get lucky and roll up the Assailant as well. But yeah, Wizard, it could be good. It comes with explosive damage, so when it dies, it explodes. So when it loses its last wound, before you move it play, any unit, friend or foe within 6 suffers a d6 strength 5 -2 hits, and obviously remove it.
Pretty good.
Fire and Chaos, so it has a 5-up ward against any wounds suffered that were caused by an attack that either has a magical or flaming attack. So
that's really good.
Yeah, so that means it has a 4-up armor, potentially 5-up ward, 5-up regen.
Yeah, that's because there's a lot of stuff now which just has like magical or flaming attacks as like a little caveat. It kind of also helps against shit that has killing blow and stuff. It's not, not Monster Slayer. It just means that because most things that have Monster Slayer have magical attacks.
Yeah.
The only thing that actually I think technically doesn't is your Duke has magical attacks, doesn't he?
Yeah, so if you want to run the Heroism build for Britonia, if you run it on a Duke, he'll get the 5-up ward because he has the Grail Vow, which gives him magical. If you take the budget options and go Paladin or Baron, technically his Lance wouldn't have magical attack, so
right, okay.
It gets around that. But it also hinders what I said earlier about you're never going to target this thing with spells because it's Magic Res 2, and then it gets a 5-up ward save against the attacks because they'll be magical.
Mm-hmm.
So
and if you make it level 2, it kind of works as like a level 4 for dispelling against itself.
Pretty much, yeah.
-2, and it's a level 2, so yeah.
And then on the other side of the page, it's got a Warp Fire Aura. So all the models, both friend and foe, are not permitted a ward save whilst within 3 inches of this model.
What is this? What is this thing? I don't get it because it's silly. I'm sorry, because this thing runs into Bretonians now and just goes nom 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 nom, and then it's like, oh, I'll roll for my ward. It's like, what ward?
Well, not only that is if you charge it a Grail Knight, suddenly you're taking away their blessing, but you still get your ward save against their magic attacks.
Yeah, exactly. So you're like, oh, okay, because I mean, like this thing charges. You can actually quite comfortably. Well, maybe not. No, I think you could. You could quite comfortably charge Grail Knights, let them countercharge you, and go, all right, okay. So you get. You'll probably go first, but you'll be getting how many? What skill is this thing? 6. So
6.
how many? What Grail Knights? Most of the time they're running a lance of. They'll have 5 guys attacking, and that's what. So
11 attacks on a full lance. Yeah.
So they get on 4s, so they're going to get 5 hits. Call it 6. I'll be generous. 6. You're then wounding on 4s, so they're going to get 3 wounds, and then this thing will get a 6-up armor, a 5-up regen, a 5-up ward. So realistically, it might take a wound.
Yeah.
Then this thing attacks back, and it's like, okay, well I only get 5 attacks. I'm hitting on 4s, wounding on 2s. You get a 5-up armor, no ward.
Yeah.
Then I'll cast all my assailant spells, and it's so good.
I think one of my favourite things about this as well is that traditional breath weapon that you really never see anyone use on dragons. It's replaced with a Warp Fire Blast. So this thing has a built-in stone thrower. So I'll read the caveat first. So basically, it fires like a stone thrower using the bombardment special rule 3-inch blast. If you roll a misfire, he takes a wound. That's it. And then obviously the stat blocks essentially as a smaller stone thrower. So it's minimum 6-inch range to 24. It's a strength 4 -1 or strength 8 -3 in the center blast, and then it's got bombardment, cumbersome, flaming attacks, multiple wounds, d3 +1. And obviously it doesn't have move or shoot, so you can still fly 10 this thing about and fire this stone thrower, which is why I quite like. I know he's a dragon, so he'll definitely do a lot more damage in combat.
I forgot this, to be honest.
But if you take level 2 demonology, essentially this thing's firing this stone thrower a turn. Could potentially casting that 2d6 strength 4 -1 shooting attacks a turn, and then when you're finally ready, you can just send it in and start mulching it because at the end of the day, it's still a dragon.
Yeah, no, I think I completely forgot I had this. So making it a bit of a shooting platform is still really viable. Having a mixture of both.
Yeah,
yeah. And you were earlier as well. Sorry,
it gives it some purpose.
It's a 1 per 1,000.
Yeah, Oh yes,
But
Pledge
there's
of
an extra
Darkness. So
one.
you can't run this in the Warriors.
Army, yeah.
You can only run this in Warrior Chaos. This one can't go to Beastman, but you can run it as a rare in any detachment basically. But it gives it a bit more purpose, I think, because I find most of the time, turn 1, maybe 2, most dragons are sort of getting into position, ready to make charges. Whereas on those first 2 turns, this thing can still just start firing stuff away before it even gets to you. And like say the Warpfire Aura, you could easily use this as a support unit. If you've got like a unit that's got quite a good ward save, or they've got a character in there that's got a good ward save, you just send this into the side, send another unit to the front, turn off his ward save, and hopefully mulch him.
And ironically, this thing's amazing against Chaos.
Ironically, yeah.
It was so good against Chaos because you go, oh, you got your Chaos Chosen with your 6 of ward. No, you don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely very anti-Bretonians because you just run up again, shutting off ward saves in general. Because it's like, oh, it affects my friendly things as well. It's like you could probably, if you're clever about positioning, you could probably get it in such a way where it's like clipping, like.
Yeah, because it's not engaged with. It's just 3 inches. So if you send it into the flank and some into the front, and just make sure you 3 away, it's.
But like even if you've got like, so let's say you are fighting a Grell, a Baron, a Duke on Hippogriff or whatever, and you send in your Lord on the dragon, and you park this thing. You go, right, I'm going to put this within 3, so it's just within 3, but not just of you, not on my Lord. And then, yeah, it just. And then I've got Monster Slayer. Oh, great, do you? Okay.
Yeah.
I rolled that 6, you're dead. Or I've got Killing Blow, you're dead. So, yeah, I think this is great. I mean, what's quite scary in general is just the thought of dragons, triple dragon, because we were talking about this, you can run triple dragon now in 2K.
And it gets worse that you're not actually sacrificing your wizards to take them, because 2 of them can become level 2s or level 4s.
Yeah, like we were playing, like, in a regular Grand Army, you can run your Chaos Lord, who's... Because, well, we worked it out. You can literally run the Chaos Lord with a... Not the... No, I think it's pretty much the build. Oh, God, let's show you. Shaky cams. You can run a Chaos Lord with the build you want, you know, which is the Enchanting Aura and all that. You can run Gowrick, and you can run the Warp Fire. That you've got level 4 and a level 2. But, you know, it's pretty bonkers. And
you can still fill the rest of the field with like Chaos Knights, a couple of chariots.
Yeah, Marauders, stuff like that. Like you're spending roughly about near enough 1,500 points. So then it will have to all be core. But again, oh no, I can just take all cavalry as my core. There you go. You know, the only game you're going to struggle is take and hold when you got to hold the middle. But even then, if you really want, you could just go park a dragon on it.
Yeah. Or you don't have to worry about taking the middle if there's no army on their side to take the middle.
If I kill the army, then it's irrelevant. Yeah,
they're good. I think like they're not too cheap. They're not too expensive. I think these are a good points mark for what they do. Like it was necessary to, as standard, throw the extra 90 points on a Reg and Dragon stat line for what they do. Like if
25,
yeah, these
with I'll play 65, because then people will be like, "Ooh, I wonder if I can," you know. I mean, what sort of? Thank God as well. It's 0 to 1 per army.
Yeah.
It's
well,
not
I don't think
or anything like that.
Unless you was running something stupid like 4K, I don't think you could physically fit 2 of these in your rare, because most of the time rare's 50%.
Rare's 25, so
rare's 25. Sorry, 25. Yeah, so 500 points.
Yeah, if you were playing 4K, you could use 1,000 points, but yeah, no. I think that's all the units, I think, isn't it? Yeah, that's all the units, so it's the magic items now.
So
which, to be honest, I think it's mostly the weapons, but I think is the weakest part of this book.
I definitely think the enchanted and banners and things like that are the stronger halves. There's one weapon in here I like, which we'll get to. So we'll start with the magic weapons and we'll go through them. So the most expensive one is obviously the Obsidian Dreadglaive. So 55 points, you get a +2, -1, Armor Bane 1, Killing Blow, Magical Attack, require 2 hands, strikes last. This can only be taken in the Heralds of Darkness. It's fine. It's a lot for its points. I think there's better alternatives. You've got the Headman's Axe, I think, which is a common magic item, which I think is just +2, -1 Killing Blow. In the common rulebook.
I don't think it's +2. I think it might be like
+1, -1.
I think it's effectively a Sword of Might with Killing Blow.
Yeah.
I think it's still one-handed, and it doesn't have strike. If this thing didn't have strikes last...
I think that'd be fine. Like, because
It's just strikes last. It makes it so underwhelming. Can you probably find a quick line?
yeah, so
Headsman's X. It's plus, yeah, it's literally, so it does require 2 hands. It's 10 points less. You get 1 less strength. You don't get the armor bane. But this has strikes last.
yeah.
So I can't.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't think it's going to be an auto-include in many armies. Like, if you can find some
I can't
thematic
see
build to
anyone
it,
running
but
it.
yeah, there's better ways to get killing blow, I think.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Like, because usually, if it was -2, like +1, -2, that'd be different.
Yeah,
Because usually for
because
chaos, you're not
it's
struggling on the
blow.
strength front. Like a
I mean,
lord,
that's effectively what it is.
Yeah.
It's a great weapon with killing blow.
like a lord's already strength 7 with this. Like, it'd be fine if he was strength
Yeah.
6 and -2, but yeah. You got the Dagger of the Dark Pantheon, which is 35 points. Its user strength -2 magical attacks. But however, for each wound an enemy user loses as a result of attack made with the Dagger of the Dark Pantheon, its wielder may apply a +1 modifier to their next casting or spell roll. So if you put this on a Sorcerer Lord who's got 3 attacks innately, and you kill 3 people, he could potentially be, again, if he's level 4, +7 to his next casting or spell roll, not taking any other factors into account. If he's been rolling well on his Gaze of the Gods, and he keeps getting that multiple attacks feature, and he gets 4 attacks or 5 attacks. But the main thing with this to me is, it doesn't say, there's no timer on it. So you could kill 3 guys in a turn, and if you don't end up dispelling or casting till the next turn or a turn later, you still got that plus modifier sitting in the wind.
Well, what you can do as well, again, this is quite a common covenant. Can you? I know. I'm assuming you can't take illusion as chaos.
I believe they're Battle Dark, Demonology. No, I don't think it's take illusion. So you can't special doppelganger it to.
Because if you could stab 3 times, kill 3, get +3 to cast your spectral doppelganger. Stab, kill 7 guys with spectral doppelganger, and then you get +7 to your next cast.
You'd be on it, yeah.
You can't do that.
I'm going to double check that. I'm 99% sure they can't take illusion because illusion seems to be more
It's very good.
Yeah,
I mean,
so Battle Demonology Dark.
Yeah.
Because otherwise that'd be filth.
It'd be amazing because you'd be like, I need to cast this spell. I get +17 to cast it. It's like, okay. Yeah, and I really like this.
That's my favourite weapon out of the book, I think. If you got a Sorcerer Lord and he's on a chariot or something and you got a few spare points, you could just chuck it on. I know it's 35, it's more than a few spare points, but
it's a spell as well. So if you win a combat and it goes to your opponent's turn, so it's useful on both turns. If your opponent then goes, I'm going to try and cast a spell, and you're a level 4. So this, I think, this is worth investing on like a lower level wizard.
Yes, to bring them up to par with the good ones.
Yeah, and because you're not going to be casting as many spells, you can run in, have like one like good spell you're going to cast, do the attacks, try and get the extra thing, and then. So I forgot about this, but it's also very good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Next up, we have the Chieftain's Blade. So for 30 points, you get a +1, -1, armor bin 1 magical attacks weapon. This can only be taken in the Wolves of the Sea. However, whilst you're engaged in a challenge, the wielder has +1 to hit rolls. So, again, if you wanted to get spenny, you could kit out somebody that's going to go into the starting game challenge with this, just to give him +1 hit. But
I think there's anything you could give, because the Huskals have
most of 25, isn't they?
Yeah,
but
this is effectively a better sword and might.
Yeah, and then I suppose in the Wars of the Sea, you want to get challenges anyway with your characters to try and roll on the Gaze of the Gods. So this could be a good.
Well, putting this on a chieftain is probably quite a good shout, because if you like go into challenges with just regular champions, most of the time they give worth skill 4, and you go, well, I actually hit you on 2s now, and I'm still strength 5, and I'm still -1. And again, I've rolled on Gaze of the Gods 8 million times because I'm in the Wars of the Sea. So then the unit's again getting 1 million pluses to its strength. So I actually quite like that. I'm going to take back what I said at the beginning. I think it might have just been that first weapon I read.
The first one's a bit overcosted for what it is, yeah. And then lastly, we've got the Taskmaster's Scourge. So for 25 points, you get a user strength -1, extra attack 1 magic weapon. However, models whose troop type is infantry only, during the command subphase of their turn, the wielder of the Taskmaster's Scourge may attempt to urge those around them into battle with a lash of the whip, making a leadership test, using their own leadership test. If the test is passed, until the start of turn subphase, the character and any unit they have joined gain D3 modifier to their movement characteristic.
Very good.
This could potentially make Marauders movement 8. If you put a chieftain with this, I'll actually tell a lie. This one's 25 points, so you could put this on the champion technically.
You could, and it's not a bad weapon. -1, and it's
Yeah.
okay.
And if you
no,
if you take that brick of Marauders in open order, so you got say 6x3 of 18 of them, they have Warband, so they get the +2 mod. Oh, no, is it unmodified or using their own leadership? I don't know if that worked, but yeah,
it's their leadership, I believe.
yeah. So this is fine.
It
It's essentially because
very
obviously
good.
everything has ensorcelled weapons. It's an ensorcelled weapons with the extra attack special rule. But obviously you can.
I take that on a. I definitely would take that on a chief.
Yeah.
I do exactly what you said. I not on a character one. I stick this on your Marauder champion, and in like a decent sized unit of them, and just said it. I mean, this as well. I'd be tempted to possibly stick it on the Cav, because the Cav have drill.
It's inventory only.
Sorry. Fair enough. They've thought about it.
Yeah, if you like I say though, if you do get those movement 8, you could just march up Marauders 16 inches a turn, and yeah.
That's very good though.
So what you saying about the weapons, Rob? Just
yeah, I'm gonna take it back.
It's the first one. It's because you read the top one. Yeah, you read the top one. It's like no, too spenny. They're shit. But yeah, the remaining 3 beneath are good for the points, I think.
I mean, to be honest, as well, like even in the regular army, you can take that on like Chaos Warriors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like make them move at 7. It's like, oh, okay, actually, they're quite quick now. I need to be careful of that. So, yeah, no, I really like that. Yeah, all those really good.
And we'll move on to the magic armor. I quite like these. So you've got Demonic Plate Mail for 50 points. So it's infantry or cavalry only. Demonic Plate Mail is a suit of full plate armor, and in addition, it improves their toughness and initiative by 1. So it is quite spenny for what it is, but if you really wanted to, this gives you access to basically give your lower level things like Aspiring Champions and Exalted Champions an option to plate mail, as well as to bring them up to the toughness of a Chaos Lord.
Are they T5 base?
No, so Aspiring and Exalted Champions are Strength 5 but Toughness 4. I think it's just the Lord that's Strength and T5. So basically, if you chuck one of these on the lower level ones, it basically makes him a Lord in terms of his...
Is the Chaos Lord got full plate innately as well?
They do, yeah. So if you put it on a Lord, you'd basically be paying for the toughness and the initiative. Which,
and initiative. Ooh.
Yeah, but you can also, if you wanted to, you could chuck these on the Marauder Chieftains. Again, just to make them toughness 5, initiative.
Can you not technically chuck that on a Demon Prince?
Because
he's monsters infantry, isn't he?
You could actually, yeah. I didn't think of that. Yeah, and you'd make him T6, initiative 8, with a 3-up save. No, 4-up save, because obviously they come with heavy armor.
I don't know if they have, yeah.
They only have heavy, I believe. I think, or they come with light and you can upgrade him to heavy. But yeah, if you chucked on a Demon Prince, it'd make him
initiative 6, initiative 8, toughness 6, and they have light armor innately. So to be honest, it go up to full plate. 4-up save is pretty nice.
Yeah,
he's got 4, and he's got regen 5 plus.
So they'd have a 4-up, 5-up, 4-up, 4-up, 5-up. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I didn't think of that on Demon Prince. That's not bad. I normally run Meteoric Iron on the ones I chuck in, but...
yeah, but now, I mean, like Meteoric Iron is nice, because obviously you get a 5-up unmodified, but +1 toughness and +1 initiative. It means that if he just charges, he's initiative 10. Like, you know what I mean? Like, pretty much guaranteed.
He goes at the same time as impact hits.
Yeah, like... That's real good.
Yeah, I like that one. Next up, you've got the Mighty Serpents Scale Mail. So, 40 points. This one's a Wolves of the Sea exclusive. And it gives the wearer heavy armor as well as strikes first. So, it's basically a 15-point upgrade on the helm, essentially. So, because obviously you can take the helm, which gives you strikes first, but stupidity. Obviously, this one, you can pay the extra 15 points to still gain your strikes first. Gain heavy if you didn't already have it, but not have the stupidity with it, which is fine.
No, that's not bad. Yeah. I think the problem, the only thing I'll say there is, because it's Wolves of the Sea, I mean, obviously you could take it on an Exalted Champion, that's not bad. I was thinking, like, you could put it on the Chieftain, which would be quite nice, but then I just don't think he's... I mean, you could give him a flail. No, I mean, it's still an option. I mean, maybe that with a flail could be pretty nasty. It gives him heavy armor, but...
I think the downside is, I think the Chieftain comes with full plate. No, he doesn't. Fradal comes with full plate, sorry. The Chieftain, yeah, he comes with light.
Yeah, he comes with light armor, yeah. So, I say that I do like the idea of the demonic plate mail on the Chieftain. And obviously it's not as effective, but +1 initiative makes him T5, and he gets full plate. It's like, well, actually, give him a shield. He's now got 3-up armor.
Especially if he's your BSB as well. Gives him more protection.
Yeah, give him a shield. I mean, like with that, I'd probably give him a shield and then just a hand weapon, and then if you want to keep him like living. If you want to keep him alive, said it so weird, but yeah, no, I'm gonna again sort of just go back on what I said at the start of this. That so far, all of these have been pretty good, apart from the very first weapon. I must have been knackered at the time when I read this. It just was like, yeah, these are all terrible.
Well,
It's like,
I must admit, I think we did take a sneak peek at these between day 1 and day 2 of the old world event, so we were running on fumes a little bit.
Yeah, true.
Onto the talismans. You've got the talisman of the carrion crow. So for 45 points, the bearer has regeneration 5+ and poison attacks. This I like. It's basically an alternative to the Crown of Dominion from the actual Chaos book. So for the Crown of Everlasting Conquest, sorry.
Conquest.
I've been watching too much Luca, I think, on that one.
Yeah.
So I think that one's 40 points, and it just gives you regen 5 points. For this one, you get 5 points more, and you get poison attacks better. So it's another. Or if you want 2 characters to have regen 5+, you just have two primes. Talisman of the Soaring Eagle. So for 35 points, the bearer of the Talisman of the Soaring Eagle has magic res 2. In addition, has a 5 up ward save against any wounds suffered that were caused by magical attacks. That's pretty good.
So you say that, but like most of your characters have ward already.
They do. I think if you were going to do it, you'd put them on the Morris Chieftain because he'll only have a 6 up. So it basically gives him magic res 2 and a 5 up for 35 points. You're basically paying for a talisman of protection at that point, but you get magic res 2 as well.
I think I'd rather have the talisman. The only reason is because then I get the 5 ward against everything, not just against magical attacks.
True.
But that's a minor detail.
Yeah. And then the magic standards. So for 50 points, you can have the Banner of Dark Powers, which gives the unit magic res 3. Okay,
good.
If you want it, it's there. Banner of the Baying Hound for 25 points. So the Banner of the Baying Hound may only be taken in the Herald of Darkness army with me, and it gives the unit Vanguard, which could be pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
The Sea Raider's Crest for 25 points is Wolves of the Sea only. And a unit carrying the Sea Raider's Crest gains Fear Special Rule. If they already have the Fear Special Rule, they gain Terror. I've not seen any units that have Fear you can give that to yet that you could turn into Terror, but I'm sure there'll be a way.
Yeah.
And then this is probably one of my favourites, is the Icon of Darkness. So for a measly 20 points, you can give a unit -1 to hit the tune phase.
20 points?
Yeah.
20? There's no justification for this being so cheap. This should be 50 points. The -3 magic res can go in the bin.
Yeah.
And this can be
the best thing
points.
is, though, if you pay for, like, let's just say you go for that Mortar Trial Chieftain in a big Brick and Marauders, yeah? And then you give him... I don't know if they can take Dark Powers, actually, but basically, if you take a BSB and you give him this and then the Diabolic Splendor mutation, it means they're -2 to hit the shooting phase. Because they both got the same rule, basically. So... And that's before adding on like long range. Have you moved this turn?
And you could put them in. I'll put them in skirmish formation.
Yeah.
The -3 to hit, and it's just like nothing's ever hitting these. Apart from, I will give them credit. You still won't have much fun against Bearded Harry because it's just like I'm -3 to hit, and it's like I do not care about your modifiers, good sir. But
if I can't see the banner, it doesn't count.
It doesn't count. I can't see what the mad lunatics that are running towards me. But they're all pretty good. I mean, the Magic Res 3 is pretty nice. It's 50 points.
It is. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but I don't know if you can just kit a character out to have 3 Obsidian Lodestones and it'd be cheaper than that.
Magic Res doesn't stack.
No, but the Lodestone gift. So there's the extremely common magic item in, I want to say Enchanted. They're extremely common, but you can basically take multiples of them to get Magic Res up.
Okay.
I can't remember what they come up to points-wise, though. Let's have a quick gander.
I feel like they're 15 points, maybe?
Oh, no, they're 20, so this would technically be cheaper. Okay. So, 20 points for an Obsidian Lodestone, and you can have up to 3 of them, and then if he has 1, it's Magic Res 2, 2, 2, 3, 3. So it'd be 10 points more, but, yeah.
Magic Res in general is good. It's definitely better than it used to be in 8th, because it was basically useless in 8th.
Yeah.
I don't think it's to be in. If you want anti-magic, just take a level 4.
Plus I think like for Chaos specifically, if you really want Magic Res, you just pay for the Crown from the original book, and it's Magic Res 2 for 20 points.
Is that the Brazen Collar?
Brazen Collar, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I mean for 20 points, yeah, that's
Like
still.
it's you're not getting Magic Res 3, fair enough, but you're saving 30 points for something else, like the Icon of Darkness or
Enchanted Aura.
yeah, all that. But yeah, and then final page of the book, we have the enchanted and arcane items. So the enchanted items is the Blood Skull Pendant for 45 points. Models whose troop type is infantry only. Instead of attacking normally, the bearer of the Blood Skull Pendant may choose to inflict a single strength 8 hit on every model in base contact with it, with an AP of -1, and these hits have killing blow.
It's cool in theory, but to be honest, I think it's really meh.
Yeah, I think unless you're a Demon Prince, then even then it's slim, because basically with this you really want a wide frontage. So because you're infantry only, I think the biggest base you can get it on is a Demon Prince, who's on a 50 by 50. So you're probably going to hit 4 models max.
Yeah, and again, okay, if you run into trolls, good, I guess, because you wouldn't want 2s, but then I don't roll only 6s is basically useless. And as I sort of learnt with Ungrim, and what you kind of had as well, is relying on Monster Slayer and Killing Blow to really dish out your serious damage. Like, I know we were bigging it up on the Monster Spawn, but the Monster Spawn still hits like a truck. It's an additional thing. Relying on it entirely to deal your damage for 45 points, I just don't think it's worth it.
It's not optimal, no. But Rod of the Damned for 40 points. So the bearer of the Rod of the Damned may cast the summoning spell from the Law of Demonology as a bound spell level 2. The summoning is that signature I was on about, so it's the 2d6 strength 4 -1 hits, which is I quite like that. It's a demonology version of the Ruby Ring of Ruin for an extra 5 points. I can see that being thrown about in a few wizards. Like if you're taking the double wizard list, you might give one the Ruby Ring, and then he takes demonology, and then you could take another wizard with battle magic, and then Rod of the Damned. So you've got both signatures. I quite like this one. It's like a specific Ruby Ring of Ruin. Demon Forged Barding for 35 points. So it can only be taken on models whose troop type is cavalry, and specifically in the Heralds of Darkness Army of Infamy. And on a turn in which they charge, the mount and all mounts in the unit gain +1 modifier to attacks.
It's not bad. It's a good amount of attacks, but again, they're like strength 4, no AP.
Yeah, Chaos Steeds are strength 4, which you've got going in your favour. If you do get the Demonology spell, I think that works. I don't know. Yeah.
See, again, I don't know if it does, because it's one of those where if it didn't specify anywhere else, fine, but because of the Wrath of the Lady, it specifically states.
Well, I think the lady clarifies for her, so because I think it says her mount and their unit, so then it counts for her Royal Pegasus as well, basically.
But what I'm saying is that it doesn't specify that it affects the unit's mount. Her and her mount's unit. Her and her unit's mounts.
Well, I think the second caveat is just for the whole unit in general. But if they didn't add her mount, they'd say her and her unit. I don't know if it would count for her Pegasus. I think. If that makes sense.
We have to have a look at that, because I don't know. I mean, maybe mounts do get the buff. I don't know, but I'll see.
Maybe, yeah. And then finally, we've got the arcane items. So you start with the Scepter of Power for 55 points. The bearer of the Scepter of Power may apply a +1 modifier to any of their casting or dispel rolls. However, should they roll any natural double when making casting or dispel roll, they suffer a single strength 10 -3 hit after it's been resolved. This isn't too bad. There's better ways to get the +1 to casting, like with Skull of Cthulhu and Tzeentch and things like that. But the one thing I like about this is, unlike the... I want to say it's a common magic item. There's a magic item somewhere in the game where it's the same thing. You get +1 to your casting of the spell, but as soon as you roll a double, you take a hit and you can't use it for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So at least this one, fair enough. You're taking a strength 10 hit at -3, but you can carry on using it. It does mean if you've got like a level 4 in a blob of Tzeentch, it's another alternative to get like +6 to your casting rolls.
Yeah, I mean, again, 55 points is not bad, but...
If you put then another wizard next to him with a Skull of Cthulhu, you're getting +7 to your casting roll.
Yeah, I don't know if it just... See, I do think there's a certain point where I think it just feels... And obviously it's one of those where you're guaranteeing the spells, stopping your opponent cast, but I think +6 is enough.
Yeah.
+7 is just, like, excessive. And then... I mean, if you roll the double, it doesn't actually stop the spell.
No, that's what I mean.
Casting.
And most of the time, on like say a Sorcerer Lord, you're probably not going to get her armor, but you still got your 5-up ward to try and tank.
Yeah, and then or you can run it in a chariot. I mean, that thing, if you're running one in a chariot, this isn't bad, because then you can get the +5 to cast.
Yeah.
And you've got a load of wounds, but yeah, it's not bad. It's quite expensive as well, though.
It's another alternative plus to casting. You've got the Grimoire of Ogvold for 50 points. So rather than randomly generating the spells they know, and regardless of their level of wizardry, the bearer of the Grimoire of Ogvold knows all 7 spells from their chosen lore of magic, including the signature spell. However, they can only cast a number of spells equal to their level of wizardry per turn.
Very good.
Yeah, I quite like this. It's old school lore master, isn't it? I'm glad that caveat's on the bottom there. Otherwise, you suddenly start seeing people take like 4 level 1s.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, a level 1 with this just as a little off to the side.
Yeah,
So
I think it's very good. I mean, I think it's still worth it on level 4 because then you could just take an Arcane Familiar because that's the only thing. That's the only argument there is, but because like Battle Magic. It's got like arrow attraction. Some of the spells are not very useful, but you might have like Demonology where a lot of the spells are really good. So you're like, oh, I want this one, I want that one. You go, well, I'll just take them all. I'll just get them all.
Yeah, I think personally, I think this is wasted in Chaos. I think this is probably more suited to, depending on what they get, something like Wood Elves or High Elves. Because I think for your points, you can take a Lore Familiar and Spell Familiar because they're extremely common for 5 points cheaper than this. And yes, you'll know 1 less spell technically because you'll know 5 spells. 2 less spells because I suppose you get the signature as the 7, but you can cast all 5 of the spells you know. So it depends what flexibility you want. If you really want to dive into a particular lore, like you said, Demonology, and you want full access to it, I think this is better. But if you're running that Tzeentch wizard build and you want the Tzeentch signature and then you want 4 other spells to accompany it, I think the Spell Familiar, Lore Familiar way is the way to go.
I think with the Grimoire of Ogvold, I think it's actually better worth looking at it more towards a lower level wizard, like a level 1 or 2. I think that's actually where you look at it more because having access to all the spells,
flexibility per turn.
Yeah. Whereas that's probably maybe actually we're looking wrong. Like I think level 3 and level 4 not worth it, but I think level 2 or level 1 actually might be worth running it.
Maybe it just depends if you then want to commit that 50-point price tag to that level 1 or 2.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But like you might have a level 1 or 2 that you're like, oh, okay, well. I want to take Battle Magic, but I don't want to be hard locked to. Because again, if you go, I rolled Arrow Attraction in this, you're like, oh, great.
Yeah.
But if you roll the other ones, it's more worth it.
Yeah. And then last but not least, I think this is my favourite out of the Arcanes, is the Tome of the Dark Gods. So for 35 points, modelled with the mark of Chaos Undivided only, but when generating their spells, the bearer of the Tome of the Dark Gods may discard any number of their randomly generated spells, and for each spell they discard, they may select any spell from the Lore of Chaos as if they had the corresponding mark of Chaos. So you could take your usual, like again for 50 points, you could take this and a Spell Familiar to get you 5 spells. And then if you do roll those ones you didn't want, like Arrow Attraction or, okay, I don't really need Arcane Urgency on this particular list, you can just swap both those for like, I'll take the +1 toughness from Nurgle and I'll take the Magic Missile from Tzeentch. Yeah,
no, it definitely has that play. It is a good one. I do like it. I think that you'll still. The only problem is you're obviously limited a little bit because your mark of Chaos Undivided.
You can, but if you're specifically a wizard trying to take that, normally you're only taking the mark to take the signature. I know you've got the
plus to
casting with Tzeentch.
Yeah. And it depends how much you value the other spells. I think it's cool. I don't think it's got some play, but yeah, and I think I don't think it's bad. I think honestly, all of them are like all 3 of those good, but very situational. I think they're all like, oh, you got to think about how you want to run them. The Scepter of Power, 55 points, real cool, but you could you could be really unlucky and just roll doubles, and then eventually you just, oh, my wizard's just detonating at this point. You've got the Grimoire of Ogvold, which is the only thing I will say with Scepter of Power is it's a May. So if it's like I really want to cast this or I really want to spell this, you don't have to use it all the time.
Yeah, you could risk it.
So it does mean like yeah,
or like say if you know their wizard's out of range, you can just stick to +4 because you think, oh well, fated, I should have the odds in my side anyway. Yeah. Whereas like say if you do have that do or die spell and their wizard's in range, you can go for it. And again, even if you do take the strength 10 hit, I think with the 5 at ward, you've got an okay chance just to bounce it off.
Yeah, I mean technically 45 points, you could also still give the guy regen. It'd be all your points, but you could give him regen and that, and then it's like 5 at armor, 5 at ward, 5 at regen.
Yeah, or chuck this on a Demon Prince. Then you don't. Then you've got your if you take the Meteoric Iron build like I normally do, you've got a 5 up, 4 up, 5 up against the front turn hit, and you'd be +5 to casting the spell rolls at level 4.
Yeah, that's not a bad shout. Yeah,
they've added plenty more flexibility, I think, to the Chaos range of this book.
Yeah, well, that's the end of it, isn't it? So I think overall, it's very, very, very good. I don't think there's anything in the book where I read it and was just like meh. Like, this is the thing in general. Like, so when we did the dwarf review, and like hopefully when we do other ones as well, I think often you'll find something like in the dwarf book. Some of the most of the characters we found a bit middling. They were like, yeah, they're all right. The characters are both very good. The units are very good. I think arguably the most sort of, I guess, disappointing thing, it's one of those things. It's like when people talk about how Chaos Warriors suck in a Chaos army, but they're one of the best infantries in the game, but they just seem terrible because they're in a Chaos Warriors army, which has all these other good options.
Yeah, unfortunately, all infantry at the minute are on the back foot, so it's
I think the cavalry army of infamy is like the worst thing in the book.
It's the only weak point, but that's only in comparison to everything else that's in the book.
Stuff. It's still very good. It's just the weakest one.
Yeah, definitely.
But the rest of the book's great. Warp Fire Dragon's amazing. The gigantic Chaos Spawns are amazing. The Huskarls are great. Like, reading them again, it's just like, these are perfect cavalry. Yeah,
I think they're going to be a hard-hitting army, especially if you take Wolves of the Sea. I think you'll see more Wolves of the Seas and Grand Armies, I think, compared to Herald of Darkness. But I think Wolves of the Sea, you're going to see some very fast-hitting, hard-hitting builds, especially with if you build them in a certain way. Like I say, I'm going to test one tomorrow against Ollie's Goblins. But if you build them in a certain way, you should be on the favour to go first. Have some ambushing units that come in from the side before they've even had their turn 2. And like you said, you've got the access to spawns, skin wolves, hard-hitting new Berserker Cav. Or Marauder Cav, sorry. Yeah. There's no bad things in this book.
Well.
If you had to put a thing to the worst thing, I agree with you. It's the Heralds of Darkness. But they're still viable, I think, just in comparison to everything else. They're just lower tier, unfortunately.
Yeah. But no, yeah. I mean, if I had to give the book a rating out of 10, it would be a 8.5, 9.
Yeah, it's
10 is obviously perfection.
I think if we basically had your vision of the Second Army of Infamy with the speciality split of gods instead of the Heralds of Darkness, I think it'd jump straight to a 10.
I think that would be a 10 in terms of power. I think it's definitely an 8.5 and 9. In terms of the rules it has, it's 8.5, 9. I think if it had that, it'd still be about the same thing. But if it was me personally, I'd find it more of a 10 because it would have an army that I'd be because the Wolves of the Sea is a cool premise. They're all Marauder heavy themed is very cool. But it would have been nice to go, right, you can't be doing all this mixing stuff. This is time for the pure Khorne, pure Nurgle, pure Slaanesh. The only the one god in general for Chaos I always find really disappointing is Tzeentch, because Tzeentch has kind of, apart from running it as the brick to buff your sorcerers, which I guess is the theme, it just has no place. The Magic Res is okay, isn't bad. What is it, Magic Res 1 you get for me, Mark Tzeentch?
Most of the time it's Magic Res 1, flaming and magic attacks on the unit.
Yeah. So magical attacks is irrelevant because
it's good against things like trolls and stuff, but you've usually got better things on the list suited for the trolls.
Most of your things have ensorcel weapons, so you've already got magical attacks. The magic res as a dwarf player I know is it's alright. It's not bad.
For dwarves it's good because you're not technically paying for it, but you wouldn't add it on as an upgrade.
No, I wouldn't pay for it. If it was 1.1 model, I'd never pay for it. So I'm looking at going, unless you're just running sorcerers in all your bricks. I did look at doing a Tzeentch army because originally in 8th Tzeentch gave you +1 to ward saves, so everything had a 6 ward. If it had a shield, it got parry, so it had a 5 ward.
+1 to ward and reroll ones.
It was reroll ones to magic casting.
Yes,
I think yes. So, but now I just find it really underwhelming, and it still sort of is. It would have been really cool in this if it's you get +1 to your ward if you're running all Marcus Tzeentch. I'd be okay. The rest of the buff meh, but now my whole army's got 5 up and 6 wards. My Chaos army's turned to Bretonnians. But overall, I think it's pretty good.
I think it's solid. I'm hoping it will shift the meta a little bit because from what I've seen, say from a competitive standpoint, I think there's loads you can do thematically in this, which is brilliant. But I think from a competitive standpoint, so many Chaos lists at the minute are like just copy and paste renditions of Dragon Lord, level 4 Sorcerer on a Chariot, lots of Knights, Dragon Ogres, maybe a few Marauder Horsemen and a few Warhounds. Like it seems to be a very much staple as it drags across. Whereas I'm hoping now,
it's gonna be the same.
well, I'm hoping with the Walls of the Sea, you'll at least see different variations. Because, like I say, you can't run the Lord or Sorcerer Lord.
I'll take Garrick.
Yeah, or you can take Garrock, obviously, but obviously you can fill that. Well, actually, yeah, I tell a lie, actually, yeah, because you could take the Lord and Galrock, and then oh no, I've only got enough money for core. But guess I'm taking Berserkers.
Yeah, but like the Wolves of the Sea, it's good for that. But in general, like I don't know 100%, but I think you'll just see triple dragon lists.
Yeah, I think you'll definitely see him dotted about.
I think the triple dragon list is just so powerful because dragons are kind of a problem anyway. Like one dragon is an issue in a chaos army. You have that, and then you bolt on 2 more dragons that are wizards and have shooting, and basically are just good at every phase of the game. And it's just like, oh, okay, cool. Like the Chaos Lord Dragon just shoots up and gets in the opponent's face. You could still have all your bricks of cavalry. I mean, like, yeah, okay, you lose. What do you really lose? You lose the Dragon Ogres. That's it.
But you'd rather have dragons at that point.
I'd rather have a dragon. You know, Dragon Ogres are great, but dragons are even better. And then you've got, I've got a Stone Thrower. I've got the Warp Fire, so I can just like melt stuff instantly. They've all got magic, and they're all really good in combat, and they're still dragons. Because it's the whole points tying down as well, and because they're fast, you could kind of weirdly do the whole like Ungrim army build, but you can just have the dragons flying about, and if it's like, oh, how many points have I killed? 800, cool. I'm just gonna go hide my dragons.
Yeah.
Fly away, and then I've won the game. You can't if you can't kill the 3 dragons I've currently got, which is going to be really hard to do because again they're still a dragon. Then and the dragons aren't like weak. Both of them have. Well, Garrett's got 3 up armor and a 5 up regen. The other one's got a 4 up armor, a 5 up regen, and then gets magical and flaming. It's got a 5 up ward. You've got the Chaos Lord Dragon who has a 3 up armor and a 5 up ward.
Potentially regen if you pay for it, if you can squeeze it in.
Yeah, if you really wanted to go for the regen instead of the Enchanting Aura, but you're probably going to go for the Enchanting Aura because it's amazing. Yeah, in general, I think that I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I'm hoping it influxes the meta a little bit. I think you're going to see slight variations, but only time will tell on that one. And then, like I say, I'll have to see how I do against Ollie tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean that should be an interesting game. How many points are you playing? 2K or through 12?
2K. Yeah, I'm not. I know he's probably going to run his Orcs and Goblins. I don't know what he's running yet. My list is off the top of my head. It's basically souped up Demon Prince. I've basically gone a split build, so I've gone for an Ogre Blade level 4 Demon Prince with a few other toys. So the plan is just to like take Dark Magic, Infernal Gateway about the board, be a nuisance, try and pick off stuff as if you were Chaos Dragon. It's Wolves of the Sea, so it's got a load of ambushing Marauders, Berserkers in the core, as well as a few Warhounds for fodder. Skin Wolves, Giant Spawn, and I've also took a big brick of Chaos Warriors as well, just because you don't see them enough. Just see what they do. Okay. Mainly because I'm trying to keep a lot of painted stuff on the board. So I was going to run Huskarls, but because they're still half painted at the minute, I'll wait till they're done.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm interested to see how that goes. I think overall, though, I think it's good book, good solid book. I mean, I think all the Arcane Journals have been very good. We might do some reviews of the other ones, the older ones. It depends.
Yeah, because we've got Tomb Kings, Bretonnia, and Orcs and Goblins. We've not touched on yet. Because there's 5 out at the minute.
It's 5 out at the moment. There's
Warriors
4
and
left
Dwarves
to come.
we've done. Yeah. Bretonnia, Tomb Kings, and Orcs and Goblins.
Yeah.
So we've got plenty of time to do it because it looks like we're not getting any more releases for 2024 that we know of.
Yep.
Well, in terms of factions.
So yeah, we might get some more models, but
new models and hopefully that mission pack that's been rumoured on the horizon somewhere, maybe.
Yes.
Or a supplement of some sort. But we just know, obviously, there's no more factions until 2025, so that gives us some time to catch up. But yeah, I hope everyone's enjoyed this. We'll keep continuing to dish them out, like we just said. And again, like we said last time, we have got plans for battle reports in the future. We're just working out technicalities on the best way to record them at the minute, because we don't want them to be too long-winded, and we don't want them to be quite basically high quality, short and snappy, but full of what you want. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, guys, and we'll see you next time.